Chapter 886. It was too fast. Han Fei didn't expect that the sea token would respond so quickly. Although he had just robbed an undersea chimney, he hadn't fully digested it yet. Not only had he not digested it completely, but the nine-tailed mantis shrimp and the others hadn't digested it completely either. He had just begun his training. According to Han Fei's estimation, there would be at least dozens of battles like today's, and his improvement would be more significant. So, who would have thought that the sea token would respond so quickly? Sister Qin, can you at least give me some time to react? Can't you come a month later? Han Fei sighed and practiced the 108 Desolate God body twice before he left Forge the Universe. However, at this time, the sea demons were resting, and he couldn't sneak attack the army alone. Han Fei couldn't help calling out Little Black and Little White. Daughter, can you sense where Sister Qin is now? Han Fei wasn't sure whether Jiang Qin had returned to the Scattered Stars Island or not. However, since it was their pioneer group who found the ruins, and the sea token happened to respond to it, at least it proved that Jiang Qin was definitely involved in this matter. Sure enough, the direction that Little White pointed was not to the Scattered Stars Island, but to the deep sea. Han Fei's eyes narrowed. Did she go there by herself? Then Han Fei shook his head slightly. No. The ruins are such a big thing that Jiang Qin, a hidden fisher, can't do anything about it. Besides, the 2-day-long war broke out, and the forces used have already exceeded the level of hidden fishers. There should be stronger people in the ruins. Han Fei sighed. What if I encounter the 8 wings of Blue Feather? Those peak-level sea spirits are not comparable to ordinary sea spirit. Even if I use the Overlord's technique and the agility of wind, I can't beat them, can I? If I go to the ruins by myself, there should also be human masters there, right? No, God knows what the perception range of a peak-level sea spirit is. What if I am discovered in advance and ambushed? No, I can't go to the ruins, nor to the Scattered Stars Island. Just when Han Fei was wondering if he should release the 9-tailed mantis shrimp and let them wander in the sea, suddenly, above the sky, a canopy appeared, and there was a human phantom imprinted in it. Han Fei took a closer look. Wasn't that Blue Feather? Yes, he couldn't be wrong. Blue Feather was in human form. His status in the Myriad Demon Valley was similar to that of Xuexinqi. Both of them should be explorers. At this moment, Blue Feather said in the Sea Demon language, "Everyone, retreat. All Sea Demon Realm experts, come to the southwest of the Scattered Stars Island, 150,000 kilometers away. Do not have any conflicts with human beings." Immediately afterward, another figure appeared in the sky. It was Xuexinqi, who Han Fei had met once before. At this moment, he said solemnly, "All human hidden fishers, gather here too. Don't conflict with the sea demon army that is retreating. Come quickly." What agreement did Xuexinqi and Blue Feather reach? The first thought that came to his mind was that the secret realm was too big. It was not something that 1 or 2 people could explore completely. An underground city. It's definitely an underground city. However, what Han Fei didn't know was why the underground city appeared so fast. Moreover, wasn't it so secretive? Logically speaking, even if a place like the underground city appeared, there shouldn't be such a huge commotion. All hidden fishers? Had they gone crazy from fighting? Han Fei remembered that there were definitely a lot of hidden fishers he met in the central city, not hundreds or thousands, but at least thousands. Not only was Han Fei shocked, but the entire Scattered Stars Island was shocked. Countless people looked up at the sky. All of them were hidden fishers? Did some kind of super battle happen? Someone said in shock, "In the history of the Scattered Stars Island, such a thing has never happened, not even once." Someone sighed. "Damn it, I knew that the Sea Demon's attack on the Scattered Stars Island this time was not simple. Is it the critical moment of the Scattered Stars Island's survival?" On the battlefront, many law enforcers looked shocked. What happened this time was beyond imagination. In this battle alone, the number of people who died was already innumerable. However, the so-called war turned out to be just the beginning. While Shueishenqi was talking, on all sides of the scattered stars island, people rose into the sky solemnly. Fishing boats flew in the sky one after another. They had no idea what was going on. However, judging from the current situation, this matter might be extremely important, so important that the whole army had to be mobilized. Silent magic pool. In a law enforcement team, someone stood up and stood in front of everyone. I'm going to join the battle. Everyone, hold the line of defense until I return. Pay attention to the news in the city. Don't neglect it. Captain, what the hell happened, Captain? The man shook his head slightly, his eyes resolute. I don't know. All hidden fishers are mobilized. Unless it's a matter of life and death, we won't do this. Hell Beach. In a certain inspection team, someone cursed, son of AB*TCH, we finally don't have to patrol and enforce the law? Scattered Stars Island, Scattered Stars Island. Hee, let's play with our lives. Someone sneered. Since the commander has made such a decision, he must have his reasons. Let's just go. Someone lazily got up from the beach and said, Are we going to fight the sirens to decide the outcome of the battle? Fighting and guarding every day is enough. The Path of Giants. Tango and the others got up silently and controlled the boat to sail. Most of the people who traveled with them were from the big clans of the Thousand Star City. East Coast. The more than 300 people of the Empyrean waterfall had mixed feelings at this moment. Granny Een exclaimed, The war is about to begin. I didn't expect that I could still participate in such a war at such an old age. Nangong Xian sneered. Let's fight. I've been in the Empyrean waterfall for too long, and I don't know my way around. This time, I have to figure it out. Ning Jingyao sighed. What a pity for old Du. At this time, he has become a law enforcer and has no chance to participate in this war. What a pity. Li Luluo chuckled. It should be fun. Let's fight. It's best if we can fight all the way to the 10,000 Demon Valley. Someone sneered. All of you are hiding secrets as if no one knows. Are you all waiting for this great battle? South Coast area. The experts of the major sects of the Thousand Star City were all here. The leaders were not just one or two people, but a large number of experts stood up. Looking from the sky, there were as many as 7 groups of people gathered. Gong Yuehan, Lu Wei, Chu Sun, Zhai Shun. The heavenly talents of the major sects all walked in front of the crowd. Someone shouted, Let's go. Under countless gazes, the fishing boats took off and the army went to sea. Such an unprecedented grand scene made many people sigh with emotion. At this moment, countless hanging fishers were sighing. Although they didn't know what would happen this time, how many people would survive. Someone prayed, I hope they can all return safely. Someone shook his head. The war should be limited to hidden fishers. If we win, the Scattered Stars Island may be safe for decades. Someone said optimistically, Hey, brother, if the Scattered Stars Island and the sea demons stop fighting, do you think we can find secret realms and improve our strength? The person who was asked nodded with a smile. I think so. However, I want to go back to the town. I've been out for so long. I'm afraid my family thinks I'm dead, right? Someone laughed and said, I'm sure we can win. Otherwise, how could the general gamble so easily? Somewhere in the Southwest Sea, Shueishenqi and a group of 9-star, 10-star, and even 11-star experts stood proudly in the void. More than 10 kilometers away, Blue Feather and the 8 wings of Blue Feather were all here. Blue Feather looked at Shueishenqi and sneered. Shueishenqi, do you really dare to gamble? Our 10,000 Demon Valley hasn't used our full strength yet. Aren't you afraid that I'll launch a surprise attack and wipe you out? Shueishenqi looked majestic and glanced at Blue Feather disdainfully. You can try. If you can defeat the Scattered Stars Island, I'll kill myself on the spot. Humph, if it weren't for an old monster guarding the 10,000 Demon Valley, it would have been destroyed decades ago. Blue Feather laughed. You dare to destroy my 10,000 Demon Valley. The point is, if the 10,000 Demon Valley is destroyed, do you think the royal city is just a decoration? Shueishenqi scoffed. If the royal city had a giant deep-sea demon, it would have come long ago. Why would it wait until now? Blue Feather snorted. I admit defeat in the Demon Forest Channel. Then let's bet whether the Thousand Star City or the Sea Demon Royal City will have a giant deep-sea demon first. Behind the crowd, Jiang Qin looked solemn. What happened this time exceeded her expectations. She thought that even if they found the underground city, it would be the human race's business. Who would have expected that this time there would be sea demons involved? Could it be that even sea demons came to compete for the sea-quelling painting? Logically speaking, no. Then did Shueishenqi do it on purpose? Han Fei was controlling the wind god boat alone, rushing all the way. What a joke. Don't run? Wait for the sea demon army to catch up? If he wandered in the sea alone, once he was discovered by the sea demon army, there was no reason to let him go. Why couldn't they clash with each other? In front of such a super war, no one would care if 1 or 2 people died first. While running, Han Fei thought to himself, is old Han manipulating this behind the scenes? Old Han is so strong. I don't believe it if he's not involved. Also, is old Jiang here? Only if old Jiang is here can I be safe. Haha. The battle for the sea-quelling painting has begun again. No matter what, I'm going to get this painting. Chapter 887. Welcome to the leader, Peerless Star. Thank you for your support. After flying for more than 2 days, he encountered ordinary sea demons along the way, but no battles broke out. If he guessed right, the big curtain in the sky should be the authentic sky hanging mirror. The one in the level 3 fishery was a fake, but this one was the real one. If he killed those sea monsters on the way, old Blue Feather might find out and send someone to kill him. That would be quite a waste. The wind god boat turned into a stream of light in the sky and didn't stop until Shueishenqi and the others appeared in Han Fei's perception. Finally, Han Fei found Jiang Qin in the crowd. In this group of people, she was the only hidden fisher, and the others were all law enforcers. At this moment, a law enforcer glanced back. Why are you stopping there? Come over. Han Fei didn't know the man either, but it didn't seem right for him to stop dozens of kilometers away after the man called him. When Han Fei flew over, he landed next to Jiang Qin. Sister Qin, what a coincidence! Jiang Qin rolled her eyes at Han Fei and said lightly, wait. Of course, Han Fei saw Blue Feather and the others more than 10 kilometers away. These people were also looking at Han Fei and seemed to be surprised that this person's speed was quite fast. No doubt he was a human heavenly talent. Later, a sea spirit said something to Blue Feather. Blue Feather suddenly said, it turns out that this is the boy who got the wind god pearl? It seems his realm is not high enough. Unfortunately, he can't come back this time. But Han Fei immediately scolded. Old B** starred, what are you talking about? You can't come back, your whole family can't come back. Everyone looked at Han Fei in shock, and even Shueishenqi couldn't help but raise his eyelids and twitch the corner of his mouth. How dare you scold a super strong explorer? Jiang Qin shouted, shut up. Blue Feather snorted, and his voice was like rolling thunder, shaking towards Han Fei. Bam! In the air, a storm was set off, and Shueishenqi said lightly, what? You're an old man. Why are you so angry with a junior? Blue Feather coldly said, sea demons are different from humans. They're vengeful. This boy is called Han Fei, right? Hey, kid, there will be a lot of people coming to kill you. Han Fei curled his lips and sneered. Come on. Do you think I'm scared? If one comes, I'll kill one. If a pair comes, I'll kill a pair. I can slaughter you until your scalp goes numb. Han Fei didn't care at all. Anyway, he was in front of Shueishenqi. Could this old turtle come up and kill him? Shueishenqi glanced at Han Fei casually, and Han Fei immediately shut up. Fine. If you don't want to say it, then don't say it. What are you looking at? A law enforcer glanced at Han Fei with a smile. You really know how to seize the opportunity. After stealing the undersea chimney, what was he capable of? If it weren't for the urgent matter, I would have confined you for a few years. Han Fei's face stiffened. Well, Senior, I only managed to grab a few caddies. Only tens of thousands of caddies, really? Heh! Some people shook their heads. They had seen shameless people, but they had never seen someone so shameless. Do you take us for fools? Some people were speechless, but they didn't say anything. Jiang Qin glanced at Han Fei. Sit down and consolidate your cultivation. Han Fei looked at Jiang Qin and glanced at the law enforcer from time to time, but he didn't say anything. However, his meaning was very clear. He seemed to be saying, I won't really be confined, right? Jiang Qin shook her head slightly, and the law enforcer who was stared at by Han Fei frowned. If you look at me again, I'll really put you in confinement. At this moment they were mainly waiting for people to arrive. Han Fei's perception had already spread to the bottom of the sea. However, at this moment, the bottom of the sea had collapsed, and everything within 1,000 kilometers had been flattened. Especially under Han Fei's feet, there was a strange ruin dozens of kilometers wide, which seemed to have emerged from the ground. And in the ruins there were some big holes with gray mist floating on them, and his perception couldn't penetrate them at all. However, these things were limited to a certain range, like a kind of barrier. Han Fei asked in a low voice, Sister Qin, a barrier? Jiang Qin nodded slightly. Yes, a barrier. However, that's a barrier that can be broken. Han Fei looked at Jiang Qin in surprise. Can it be broken? Then why are you all standing here? Shueishenqi said lightly, Don't talk as soon as you come. Wait for everyone. Han Fei shrugged. My father is Old Han, so I'm not afraid of you. Since Han Fei knew that Old Han was still alive and very powerful, he had been quite relaxed. Gambling in chess, the chess pieces wouldn't go wrong until the end of the game. However, Han Fei didn't go too far. If he wanted to wait, then so be it. He also wanted to think about what he should do after entering the barrier. If it was the underground city, then his first goal should be to find the boneyard. Tomorrow at most, Luo Xiaobai and the others would arrive, and Tengu would also come. The Empyrean waterfall would definitely come. He could fool Yushire, plus senior brother Dashuai and the others. The Thug Academy was very powerful. About 3 hours later, Han Fei saw another fishing boat flying over from the sea. It was a young man and a woman, both very delicate and pretty, and they were obviously a couple. When the two of them came here, they glanced around and finally fixed their eyes on Han Fei and Jiang Qin. Little junior brother? It must be. Han Fei looked at Jiang Qin in surprise and then said, Senior brother, senior sister? The two of them nodded at Han Fei with a smile, looking very kind. Who wouldn't like a handsome man and a beautiful woman who were kind? Ahem. Someone coughed and Chu Linyuan said, Let's talk about it later. Immediately someone sneered, Chu Linyuan, Mu Qingchuan. The work has nothing to do with you. If there are ruins, you can get there in a flash. Now that you're back, don't leave. Mu Qingchuan smiled and said, We're not leaving. After this, we'll go back to the Empyrean waterfall. Someone snorted. You still know how to come back? If you hadn't killed a lot of enemies at sea, do you really think we couldn't do anything to you? Chu Linyuan smiled. Both on and off the island are contributing to mankind. When we go back, we'll become law enforcers at the Empyrean waterfall. Someone nodded and said, Anytime? Mu Qingchuan nodded. Anytime. With that said, Mu Qingchuan glanced at Han Fei and said with a smile, If you don't do it now, you won't even be able to beat junior brother. Han Fei was dumbfounded and thought, Even now, you might not be able to beat me, okay? The law enforcer nodded. That's good. You've been suppressing your cultivation for so long. Are you waiting for today? Chu Linyuan chuckled. Of course. Han Fei frowned. Suppressing it for so long? How long? So it was not that senior brother and senior sister were unable to become law enforcers. In fact, they had been suppressing their cultivation. So, senior brother and senior sister are actually part of the chess pieces? However, old Jiang said that he was the chess piece of the Thug Academy. Did that mean that senior brother and senior sister suppressed their cultivation just to help him along the way? Han Fei couldn't help but look serious. After entering the spiritual barrier, he had to ask them about it. After the night, when the bright moon rose into the sky, people from both sides arrived one after another. Among them, Chao Tian and the others arrived first. Chao Chiu was on the same boat as them. As soon as they arrived, Chao Chiu was about to run to Han Fei. However, he was stopped by Chao Tian. However, the three members of the Chao family were sitting behind Han Fei, only 2 or 3 meters away. Chao Chiu said to Han Fei via voice transmission, "There are good things down there, but it's not my intention to grab that thing." Han Fei glanced at Chao Tian and said to Chao Chiu via voice transmission, "Just grab it. The thing is there. Whoever has the ability can grab it." Chao Chiu was helpless. He hated this feeling. For a thing, there would definitely be infighting in the end. By dawn, there were already more than 300 people sitting behind Han Fei and the others, and Wang Dashuai arrived with white dew in the early hours of the morning. After arriving, he sat down next to Han Fei and the others and chatted with Chu Linyuan and the others for a while. It wasn't until the next morning that everyone had arrived. At this moment, Luo Xiaobai, Lu Renquang, and Zhang Xuanyu had also met Chu Linyuan and Mu Qingchuan. At this moment, a large group of people sneaked to the back of the team and went to eat hot pot. Next to them, there were also Big Yellow, Qing Chen, and several other heavenly talents of the Empyrean waterfall. Han Fei asked in a low voice, "Shall we form a team?" Chu Linyuan said, "Of course. It's time for our Thug Academy to establish our prestige." Mu Qingchuan said, "First of all, we can be sure that this is a spiritual barrier, not a teleportation array. After entering, there will be no random teleportation. But this spiritual barrier seems to be very big and needs a lot of people to explore. There must be a lot of things in it. So, there will inevitably be people scattered to seize the opportunity." Luo Xiaobai analyzed. "The trouble with forming a team is the distribution of items. However, we don't have this problem. Whoever needs it most can take it first. These are not the key. The main thing is that this time the ruins will involve a lot of fighting. The key is to ensure that we don't die." Han Fei asked, "I think we can act alone after the looting." Everyone. Han Fei said, "You know, maybe we will have to act alone." Chu Linyuan shook his head. "No, little junior brother. This matter is not as simple as you think. This ruin is actually only the first step, and it is very likely that there will be a second step, a third step. We'll see the specific situation inside." Suddenly, a voice sounded. "Put away your pots." At the same time, Shueishenqi waved his hand and a light curtain appeared, enclosing all the humans. Everyone was shocked and thought, "It's finally going to start." Chapter 888. Shrouded by the light curtain, a faint golden light shrouded everyone's faces. On the human side, there were more than 3,100 hidden fissures. There were more sea demons, more than 5,000 of them. The number of human hidden fissures was similar to Han Fei's expectation. 3,100 people seemed to be a lot, but after being distributed to the entire scattered stars island and the outer sea, it was especially insufficient. This time, it seemed that they had come out in full strength, but Han Fei felt that there must be more people on the scattered stars island who hadn't come yet. Not only that, but the same was true for the sea demons. Han Fei had stayed in the 10,000 Demon Valley, and there were hundreds of thousands of half-mermaids and half-mermaids, which were creatures above the red demons. There couldn't only be more than 5,000 sea demons. On the human side, the Scattered Stars Island was not big, but that was only relative to the ocean. In fact, even if the wind god boat flew at full speed, it would still take a while. In the central city alone, there were more than 3,000 hidden fissures. Hidden fissures were usually invisible, but it didn't mean they didn't exist. They usually stayed at sea. Therefore, when Han Fei estimated the number of people on both sides, he thought to himself, although I said I'll go all out, in fact, I still have to protect the base. Not only the base was protected, but old Jiang and old Han were not there, which at least showed that Xuexinqi still had a trump card in his hand. At this moment, Xuexinqi's voice was loud and mighty. Everyone, this time, you will go to a mysterious ancient battlefield. In this battlefield, there are countless opportunities. There's no doubt about this, but what's more important than opportunities is danger. This battle is related to the situation of the Scattered Stars Island in the unknown place and human control of the Scattered Stars Island. In this battle, you can only win, not lose. When Xuexinqi said the words, not lose, his murderous intent surged, making everyone's heart tremble. Even Han Fei couldn't help but become serious. He was selfish at ordinary times, but when he really put things in front of him, that kind of agitation and that kind of responsibility couldn't be concealed. Everyone was concentrating, and Xuexinqi said again, explore this secret realm, and all the opportunities will belong to you. The Scattered Stars Island won't hold you accountable. In addition, this is an ancient battlefield sealed by real strong masters, and there is definitely more than one entrance and exit. If you encounter other barriers, don't panic. There must be something sealed here. Find those sealed objects and destroy them. Once the barrier is opened, the humans will naturally have strong reinforcements. Yes. Everyone shouted in unison, their voices mighty and majestic. However, Han Fei frowned when he heard that. Xuexinqi was referring to the primordial battlefield, not the underground city. Could it be that this ancient battlefield was only a part of the underground city? Han Fei looked at Jiang Qin. The latter shook his head slightly at Han Fei, signaling him not to ask anything at the moment. At the same time, Blue Feather said something else. Blue Feather stood on the shark's middle head. Remember, this time, everyone's harvest is yours. It would be best to kill a large number of humans before they broke the seal. This is especially so for the human prodigies. They will definitely kill them. Yes, Lord Feather. Blue Feather looked back at the human phalanx and said fiercely, there will definitely be many mysterious places in the ancient battlefield this time. Find them and kill all the heavenly talents who go there at all costs. Also, kill Han Fei, the human heavenly talent. This child has a pair of phantom wings. Whoever takes his head will be rewarded with 3 divine weapons, 3 manuals of top-notch cultivation techniques and battle skills, and the qualifications to go to King City. Suddenly, more than 5,000 half-mermaids all breathed heavily. If it was just weapons and battle skills, it would be fine. However, the qualifications to go to King City had never appeared in 100 years. Immediately, everyone's eyes changed. What treasure? Opportunity? Han Fei was the treasure. Han Fei was the opportunity. Han Fei didn't know what the sea demons were talking about at this moment. Otherwise, he would definitely curse that old turtle Blue Feather to death. He was too King vengeful. Blue Feather and hundreds of law enforcers attacked at the same time, forcibly creating a vortex on the barrier. Enter the barrier! Enter the barrier! Xuexinqi and Blue Feather ordered almost at the same time. At that time, everyone was running towards the barrier. Han Fei saw a yellow flash and Big Yellow disappeared. It was taken away by Granny Een. Han Fei narrowed his eyes slightly. What kind of seniority is Big Yellow? It's equivalent to a sea spirit. It's not easy to devour souls and fight law enforcers, but it's not difficult to kill hidden fishers. Granny Een was accompanied by Big Yellow. For the sea demons, she should be quite dangerous. Yi Qingfeng licked his mouth. The ancient battlefield is full of poisonous barriers. What a good place. Qing Chen also left Han Fei and the others immediately. Han Fei said to him via voice transmission, "Qing Chen, do you want to go with us?" Qing Chen grinned. "No thanks. Everyone has their own opportunities. But let's see who can kill the most people." Han Fei looked at Yu Shire. "Shire, let's go together?" Yu Shire smiled innocently. "Thank you for your kindness, but I have other things to do." Han Fei frowned slightly. "Other things? What things?" Of course, Han Fei didn't think that Yu Shire got some special task. As for breaking the seal, it all depended on who was lucky enough to encounter it. Then what else could Yu Shire do? Immediately, Han Fei's heart skipped a beat. Yu Shire has the sea token. Han Fei couldn't help but be shocked. This Yu Shire usually looks silly and drinks fish soup every day. I didn't expect him to be the owner of the sea token. Does this mean that... Is Yu Shire also one of the pawns? If Yu Shire is, then how many people in the Empyrean waterfall have the sea token? Only the children of the big clans in the Thousand Star City knew about it. For example, the Chao family definitely has it. Chao Qiu also said it clearly. However, Han Fei didn't know who the Chao family bet on. Was it Chao Tian or Chao Jiaran? For example, Sun Mu must have it too. Yang Diu and Mo Fian, Yi Baiyu, Chen Aochen, Zhang Wen, Li Hai, these guys should all be the heavenly talents of their clans. How could they not have the sea token? Now, the only thing Han Fei was uncertain about was whether there would be someone on the sea monster's side who had the sea token. If there was, Han Fei wouldn't take it seriously. But if the sea monsters didn't have it, Blue Feather would definitely lose this war. The situation on the human side was complicated. Almost everyone who had the sea token had someone behind them. Did the sea monsters only rely on Blue Feather? Was this a joke? If Blue Feather was so powerful, he would have destroyed the Scattered Stars Island long ago. At that time, when experts at the level of Old Han and the others stood up, could Blue Feather alone stop so many human experts? One slap from each of them could make him lose his bearings. Unfortunately, these were all Han Fei's guesses. He knew very little about the thoughts and secrets of these people, so he couldn't guess them. However, in any case, he had 2 sea tokens. This was also a bit of an advantage. Jiang Qin shouted coldly, "Follow me closely." Swish, 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 one figure after another quickly rushed into the vortex. Han Fei found that the Thug Academy could only form its own force. Wang Dashuai, Bai Lu, Han Fei, Luo Xiaobai, and Jiang Qin, a total of 9 people. Huh. Where are Tang Guo and Mu Ling? Han Fei was about to send a voice transmission when he rushed into the spiritual barrier. At this time, he felt a kind of boundless silence and solemnity. How many years has it been since this ancient battlefield was created? At this time, the smell of blood was still so strong. As far as the eye could see, it was full of sadness and gloom. Compared with the normal ocean, there were no colorful colors here, and the seawater here was a little dark red. At a casual glance on the ground, one could see bones. The land under the seabed was dark red, light red, and brown in many places. It looked like a broken Gobi Desert, a grassless desert. At this moment, when humans and sea demons were pouring in, under the desert, a shadow emerged, and a deformed big fish swam up. The people who came in first encountered it head-on. Someone attacked fiercely and smashed the shadow, but for some reason, the man's eyes turned white, and he began to attack his clansmen, killing one of them on the spot. Someone shouted, "This place is evil. Anyone who is possessed by an evil spirit will be killed on the spot." Perhaps it was because there were too many people coming in at once. Therefore, although there were dozens of swift shadow fish that appeared, they were all killed by the humans in a very domineering manner. This also made everyone breathe a sigh of relief. Someone wondered, what kind of creature is this? Did a crab fuse with a fish? Someone frowned. The snake shrimp is also hungry. They seem to have fused. Each one is different. However, the creatures here were not as strong as imagined. The ancient battlefield was full of dead creatures and humans. Even if there were things like immortal heroic souls, there was no reason for them to be so strong that hidden fishers couldn't rival them. The situation on the half-mermaid's side was similar to that of humans, with only a few casualties. Because the nature of the tasks of the two sides was different, as soon as those half-mermaids came in, Han Fei found that the half-mermaids were gathering and activating the Sea King's secret method. Thousands of people were already launching a fish tide. Someone said angrily, "A bunch of stupid fish. The secret realm hasn't even been explored yet, and you want to fight? Are you crazy?" Immediately, someone shouted, "No, let's disperse and leave." Immediately, everyone rushed in all directions. If they really came in, they would fight? Then why didn't they just fight outside? Why did they have to fight in the secret realm? Han Fei found Tang Gu 7 or 8 kilometers away, and immediately asked him via voice transmission, "Why did you go over there? Come with us." Tang Gu responded, "No, I'll go with Little Ling. I'm relieved that you have the Thug Academy with you. I have to protect her." Han Fei nodded. "It's safer with us." Tang Gu shook his head. "Don't worry." Han Fei sighed slightly. "Things are different now that I have a partner. However, everyone has their own opportunities." Han Fei believed that not every small fish and shrimp could defeat Tang Gu. Besides, Mu Ling was not simple either, so Han Fei didn't hesitate. Jiang Qin shouted, "Let's go. We don't want to fight." Wang Dashui, carrying the door with one hand, rushed out. On the door, there was a vibrating sound radiating in all directions. Chu Linyuan and Mu Qingchuan rushed wildly under the crowd. A big shadow fish rushed out, but Mu Qingchuan waved his hand, and with a flash of white light, it was directly crushed into pieces. Chu Linyuan shouted, "There is suppression. No, there are no laws in this space, so I can't feel the opportunity to make a breakthrough." Jiang Qin said, "I guess so. This is a battlefield of death, sealed by a king himself, so no one will have a chance to become a law enforcer. However, let's find a place to make a breakthrough first." Chapter 889. The charge of the sea demons was doomed to be a futile attempt. If human beings chose to fight, they still had a chance. But if human beings chose to run, they could only charge in one direction. What was the point of that? So, those sea demons just rushed for a while and then stopped. Like human beings, they scattered and left. Otherwise, this ancient battlefield was so large that the efficiency of thousands of them gathering together would be extremely low. However, when human beings and sea demons entered this space, the sand and stones were trembling slightly in many places, and black shadows were slowly emerging. Unfortunately, no one noticed this subtle change. At this moment, they had been rushing for nearly an hour, and the majority of the troops had already dispersed to God knows where. There was no one near Han Fei and the others. Chu Linyuan glanced at Wang Dashui and said, "Gate." Wang Dashui suddenly jumped up, and the big green gate that he had been carrying finally stopped smashing people. At that moment, Han Fei seemed to see the shadow of the 3 deadly doors. However, it was different from the 3 lifeless doors. The big green door turned into hundreds of door shadows and smashed on the ground. Chu Linyuan shouted again, "Qing-er." Mu Qingchuan spread his hands, and a blade of grass flew up, directly covering the gate within dozens of meters. Immediately afterward, everything became transparent. Chu Linyuan said, "Han Fei, there are only 3 of us and we can barely seal our auras. I heard that you know how to make a big concealment array. Can you?" Han Fei grinned. "Of course." Han Fei drew lines in the air with one hand. In a moment, 9 lines fell to the ground, directly hiding everything within 100 meters. Chu Linyuan said leisurely in surprise, "Oh, little junior brother is very good at arrays." "You flatter me, senior brother." Han Fei could see that among the 3 of them, Chu Linyuan was the captain. With just a few words and a look, Wang Dashui and Mu Qingchuan could feel it. At this time, Han Fei glanced at Luo Xiaobai. Luo Xiaobai rolled her eyes at Han Fei. Are you listening to me? Jiang Qin took out a lot of spiritual spring water. At that moment, the spiritual spring water turned into gas and rushed into her body frantically. Crack! Crack! Jiang Qin, who was originally only an intermediate hidden fisher, was promoted by one level almost instantly. Under everyone's gaze, Jiang Qin's strength was rapidly increasing. It only took half an hour for Jiang Qin to make a breakthrough with a blast of air. An advanced hidden fisher? However, it wasn't over yet. Jiang Qin's strength was still increasing crazily. Another hour passed, and with a caw sound, her strength increased explosively again, breaking through again, already reaching the peak. Han Fei and the others were dumbfounded. Is this even possible? How could it be so fast? Mu Qingchuan smiled and said, Senior Martial Sister is different from us. Senior Sister has recultivated, so she has experienced all the realms. Han Fei asked in shock, recultivation? Luo Xiaobai and Zhang Xuanyu were also very surprised. This was unbelievable. How much courage did one have to recultivate one's realm? Lu Renquang said leisurely, Senior Sister. How strong was she before? Mu Qingchuan smiled playfully, law enforcement. Han Fei paused for a moment. You're already a law enforcer. Why did you recultivate? Chu Linyuan said, Because I'm not strong enough. His words hit the hearts of Han Fei and the others. Because he wasn't strong enough, he had to recultivate. This was too domineering. Not everyone could have this kind of courage. At least, Han Fei didn't think he would have this kind of courage. Han Fei couldn't help asking, what kind of law did Sister Qin control before? Chu Linyuan said leisurely, kill symbol. Whoosh. Suddenly, Jiang Qin got up, twisted her head a little, and said faintly, I've just reached the peak, so my body is not used to it. But it doesn't matter. Let's walk together on this journey. Then Jiang Qin glanced at Wang Dashui. Retreat. At the moment when Wang Dashui stretched out his hand to recall the big green door, suddenly, an armor box appeared beside Bai Lu. As soon as the armor box was opened, 9 rays of mystic light shot out in an instant, and a huge shadow was directly pushed to the ground. When everyone took a closer look, they were shocked to find that this was not a fish at all. This was a humanoid monster. This thing had the body of a mermaid, but it had no hands. It had 2 pincers, and under the big pincers were 6 thin claws. As for its face, it was completely deformed. Damn it, how could it have a face? It had a mouth. Its 2 eyeballs were erected on its head, like the eyes of a shrimp. Its face was a big mouth full of ghastly teeth. Guilt appeared in Han Fei's eyes. Name Soul Eater introduction. In the land of resentful souls full of killing, the dead energy condenses and the souls of living creatures gradually gain consciousness and devour each other. Soul Eaters of various shapes are formed due to forced devouring. Soul Eaters like to eat souls and parasitize. Once attacked by a Soul Eater, either the soul will be eroded or the flesh and blood will be parasitized. Soul Eaters may have a variety of combat characteristics, each of which is different. Level 55 Quality, Undead Creature, contains immortal energy greater than 16,895 points, collectible immortal energy, pure soul bead, absorbable. Wow! Han Fei and the others were dumbfounded. What kind of monster is this? It doesn't look like a human, a shrimp, or a worm, but it doesn't look like a worm. It looks like a collection of ghosts. Jiang Qin said, It's a soul eater, a kind of deformed creature that devours each other. Remember, they all have different battle states. Some will attack, some will parasitize, but if you meet them, kill them directly. As she spoke, 2 swords suddenly appeared in Jiang Qin's hands, and with a swish, a domineering and strong killing intent crushed the soul eater and directly cut it into pieces. After that, Jiang Qin stepped forward and found a milky white bead in a mass of dirty water. Lu Renquang asked, What is this? Pure soul bead. This thing contains some ownerless souls, and it is precisely because of this bead that the Soul Eater has a fighting consciousness. This thing can be swallowed directly and can enhance the power of the soul. But there should be some restrictions. It shouldn't be of much use to those whose soul power is comparable to that of a law enforcer. Lu Renkuang and the others trembled, and Zhang Xuanyu said in disgust, "Eat this?" Jiang Qin said, "No matter how dirty its appearance is, this bead is pure. If you want to quickly improve the power of the soul, this thing can be said to be a shortcut. If there is no accident, how much you can improve depends on how many soul eaters you can kill and the upper limit of your potential." Han Fei chuckled and patted Zhang Xuanyu and Lu Renkuang on the shoulders. "I don't think it's a problem. You can't say that it's useless just because it's ugly, right?" "But, Sister Qin, what is immortal energy?" Jiang Qin glanced at Han Fei in surprise. "How do you know about immortal energy?" Han Fei thought to himself, "I have seen this thing several times. I knew it from the first time I met the immortal soul. But how to collect immortal energy? I don't know. I don't have immortal energy in my body." Han Fei smiled innocently. "I heard it from a sea monster." Chu Linyuan and Mu Qinchuan were surprised. "Can a sea monster tell you this?" Wang Dashuai told the two of them via voice transmission, but Chu Linyuan and Mu Qinchuan looked strange. "This junior brother has a lot of tricks." Jiang Qin didn't care and replied directly, "Immortal energy is the power that only undead creatures need, just like spiritual energy for us humans and demonic energy for sea monsters. If one day someone becomes an undead creature and their consciousness is not cut off, they may be able to cultivate into an undead creature with the help of immortal energy." The corner of Han Fei's mouth twitched. "Then forget it. Who would cultivate into an undead creature for no reason?" Jiang Qin said, "Let's go. If I'm not mistaken, this ancient battlefield is very large and may be full of all kinds of ancient relics. Let's look for it. As for the sea token, don't worry. We will find it eventually." Everyone had no objection and began to swim aimlessly. Who would have thought that after less than half an hour, they didn't encounter a single human being or sea monster? On the contrary, they encountered as many as 20 soul eaters. Han Fei and the others didn't even need to take action at all. Jiang Qin and the others swept all the way and didn't even need to stop. "Wait a minute," Luo Xiaobai suddenly said. When Luo Xiaobai asked them to wait a minute, Han Fei probably knew what she meant. Jiang Qin and the others. Luo Xiaobai said, "Senior brother, senior sister, let's go separately. After all, being hidden fishers is also our own path. I found that the soul eaters here are within our fighting range. It shouldn't be a problem for us to go alone." Chu Linyuan said, "Little junior sister, you underestimate this ancient battlefield too much. Those we have encountered now are all small fish and shrimp. They are not powerful and dangerous at all. The real danger is much greater than this." Luo Xiaobai said, "Senior brother, everyone has their own path. The 9 of us together are very strong, but too strong. The 5 of you are all peak-level hidden fishers, which is very bad for our growth." Han Fei also said, "Sister Qin, I agree with Xiaobai. You guys just sweep away all the obstacles along the way. We have nothing to do at all. Why don't we split into 2 teams? We are still strong. Besides, if everyone is together, the progress will be too slow. How can we compete with others?" Bai Lu said with concern, "Little junior brother, in fact, if we are together, we can almost be invincible." Han Fei grinned. "Sister-in-law, don't forget, we are also the strongest in this year." Zhang Xuanyu and Lu Renkuang also nodded. "Swimming behind us? It's not like we are on a life-and-death battlefield." Hearing Han Fei's words, Wang Dashuai and the others exchanged a look. Jiang Qin glanced at Han Fei. "Okay. Let's split up and meet at the entrance of the underground city." When they separated from Jiang Qin and the others, Zhang Xuanyu said casually, "It's more comfortable for us to be together. It's not easy to be with them. Lu Renkuang nodded repeatedly. We don't need to do anything at all. Luo Xiaobai said, let's go. The four of us try not to separate. This time, a lot of strong masters came in. We are all just hidden fishers. Except for Han Fei, it is difficult for us to kill peak-level hidden fishers. Our top priority is to find the seal and find opportunities. Okay. Chapter 890. After separating from Jiang Qin and the others, Han Fei summoned Little Black and Little White with a thought. Han Fei touched Little White's head and said, Girl, look around and see if there are any good things here. Luo Xiaobai and the others had long known that Han Fei would look for opportunities through Little White. They were not surprised at this and all looked at Little White expectantly. However, Little White turned in many directions in the water and then looked at Han Fei blankly. In Han Fei's heart, there was an inexplicable warning, danger. Suddenly, Han Fei frowned and said, There are opportunities in all directions, and all of them are very dangerous. Luo Xiaobai said in surprise, Everywhere? Han Fei nodded seriously. That should be right. I mean, no matter which direction we go, danger and opportunity coexist. Zhang Xuanyu said, Then just go in any direction. Han Fei nodded. I think so too. In this ancient battlefield, there are soul eaters, but there are definitely more than just soul eaters. Luo Xiaobai nodded. Okay. They had only set off for more than a kilometer when they encountered a soul eater. Different from the first one they met, this one was snake-shaped, with claws and a fish head. It seemed that it was another guy that swallowed itself into a deformed shape. Zhang Xuanyu shouted, Let me have a try. Zhang Xuanyu seemed to have cultivated a new soul attack method. Han Fei and the others saw an illusory spear flash from between Zhang Xuanyu's eyebrows and instantly pierced the long tail of this soul eater. The latter hissed and roared out waves of sound from its mouth, shaking out circles of ripples in the sea. At the same time, two giant claws suddenly emerged from the void and seemed to hook at Zhang Xuanyu. Clang! The big shield was in the air, and Lu Renkuang raised the shield to block it. The flesh on his face was shaken and deformed by the huge force. However, the shield was not broken and was blocked by Lu Renkuang. Luo Xiaobai's eyes turned white, and blue vines emerged from the ground, trying to catch this soul eater. However, at the moment when it was caught by the dark vines, many strange scales stood up on this soul eater's body, quickly cutting these dark vines to pieces. Seeing this scene, Luo Xiaobai attacked again. Spirit summoning. This time, what appeared was no longer a dark blue vine, but a thin gray vine. Those thin vines were like maggots in a tarsal bone, quickly sucking on the body of this soul eater. Han Fei asked in surprise, What is this? I've never seen you use it before. Luo Xiaobai replied, I tried to summon spiritual plants in this ancient battlefield, but I ended up summoning these vines. As the vines held onto the soul eater, they drilled into its body. Zhang Xuanyu used the instant profound spear and exploded the head of the soul eater. Zhang Xuanyu looked back at Luo Xiaobai in surprise and said, These vines seem very weird and tough, more like steel thorns. Luo Xiaobai nodded. This means that there are still spiritual plants on this ancient battlefield. However, this kind of spirit plant also has the ability to devour souls. If you encounter it, you must be careful. Han Fei didn't do anything during the whole process. He was now stronger than Luo Xiaobai and the others. If he attacked, Luo Xiaobai and the others wouldn't have a chance to attack. Han Fei said, If you were to encounter such a creature alone, how long would it take you to kill it? Zhang Xuanyu shrugged helplessly and said, I need 3 to 5 breaths to go all out. If it was a normal battle, it might take more than 20 breaths, but that was because my soul power was strong enough. If I encountered 2 of them, I would need at least 50 breaths. If there are 3, we have to run. Lu Renkuang said, If I use the sky swallowing technique and the soul ghost, I can deal with 3 of them. Luo Xiaobai nodded. Me too. Han Fei was relieved. That's enough. I won't participate in the following battles. Let's find the first relic first. Luo Xiaobai frowned slightly. She knew that Han Fei could deal with many of them alone. At this moment, the three of them were burdens. Luo Xiaobai asked, "Do you want to go alone? If the three of us work together, protecting ourselves won't be a problem." Han Fei shook his head. "Now, they only appear one by one. You can easily kill them. Once dozens of them appear, the quantitative change will lead to a qualitative change. At that time, it will be hard to say if you can still win. Moreover, I'm not worried about the Soul Eater, but the real danger." Lu Renkuang heaved a sigh. "Alas!" Han Fei scolded with a smile. F***ck off. Let's go. Don't let the opportunities be taken away by others or sea demons. Half an hour later, Han Fei and the others killed about 30 Soul Eaters along the way, but Han Fei didn't take any pure soul beads. Compared with himself, Luo Xiaobai and the others needed these things more. At this moment, everyone was treating the exploration of the ruins as a pure training trip. At this time, Lu Renkuang used the sky-swallowing technique to absorb the Soul Eater crazily and killed a Soul Eater with a long knife. He grinned. "Let's go." Suddenly, Han Fei said, "Wait, there is a team of sea demons." Luo Xiaobai immediately looked at Han Fei. "How many?" Han Fei replied, "More than 50 kilometers to the left, there are 6 people, but I can't tell their strength." Zhang Xuanyu immediately grinned. "Let's go and meet them." On the other side, Yushi led the 5 of them to search for a relic. His associated spirit had a weak sense of perception and had tracked them all the way here. Yushi said, "Attention, everyone, the relic I sensed should be nearby. Let's look for it." 100 minutes later, Yushi suddenly raised his head. "Attention, there are 4 humans. Haha. Their perception is weaker than mine. They should also be looking for the relic. Everyone, rush over and kill them." Someone laughed and said, "Ha, 4 people? Although not enough, it's not bad." Someone bared his teeth. "Kill." Zhang Xuanyu asked, "Do you think they will come?" Han Fei smiled. "Believe me, sea demons are more belligerent. Besides, their brains sometimes don't work very well. We pretended to look for opportunities, but they sensed us. What does this mean? It means that our strength is lower than theirs." Lu Renkuang smiled wretchedly. "How insidious!" Smack. Han Fei slapped him. "Why are you so insidious? This is called experience." Han Fei smiled and said, "They're coming. We won't run." Zhang Xuanyu was taken aback. "If we don't run, won't they suspect us?" Han Fei sneered. "Suspect what? In this damn place, once we run, we will definitely encounter Soul Eaters. Then we'll attract 3 or 5 Soul Eaters and have a 3-way melee." Luo Xiaobai had been perceiving. Unfortunately, there were no spiritual plants here, so her perception range was not large. When they were 20 kilometers away, Han Fei suddenly said, "Okay, you can get into a fighting stance." Immediately, Lu Renkuang pressed the armor box on the ground, and Zhang Xuanyu held the rod and fused with the bloodthirsty shark. Yushi roared, "They don't dare to run. Although it's a bit troublesome, let's kill them." Swish, 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 the 6 half-mermaids activated the Sea King skill almost at the same time. However, Han Fei sneered. "They don't even have semi-divine weapons." Han Fei immediately said, "It's up to you 3. Zhang Xuanyu grinned. "Hey! Just don't let them run away." The 2 sides could already see each other. However, when these half-mermaids rushed over, 5 Soul Eaters caught up with them. Han Fei cursed in his heart, "A bunch of idiots." Kill. When the 2 sides were only 300 meters apart, Zhang Xuanyu suddenly took action. Momentary time. A half-mermaid suddenly paused in the air. This was because the shadow of a rod had suddenly pressed against the space between its eyebrows. It didn't even have time to react before its head exploded. Spirit summoning. Gray vines rose from all directions and madly clasped these half-mermaids. Lurenquang ran forward for dozens of meters and suddenly jumped up. With a roar, a big hole appeared. Two of the Sea King's barrage entered the cave and disappeared without a trace. Lurenquang stretched out his hand and a torrent of knives and swords poured out of the armor box. The bloodthirsty broadsword went straight to one person. As for Han Fei, he glanced at Luo Xiaobai and said, "The leader is an advanced sea demon. He's difficult to deal with." Luo Xiaobai said, "You deal with the Soul Eaters. Leave these 5 to us." Han Fei nodded, unfolded the phantom glass wings, and flew past these half-mermaids. Phantom glass wings? Oh no, he's Han Fei. The 5 of them were horrified. How could Blue Feather issue a kill order in person be an ordinary person? In an instant, one of them had died, which showed that the other party was extremely strong. To their surprise, Han Fei swept past them and rushed to the 5 Soul Eaters, not taking them seriously at all. Run. Yu Shi's first reaction was to run. He knew what Han Fei's action meant. This meant that even if there were only 3 people on the other side, even if these 3 people were only junior hidden fishers, they could still be killed. Luo Xiaobai's eyes turned white. Spirit summoning, parasite. Zhang Xuanyu grinned. Instant mystic spear. As for Han Fei, he entered the battle faster than Luo Xiaobai and the others. Boom, boom, boom. Golden fist marks roared out, and the art of invincibility, which was as bright as the sun, blew up a Soul Eater with 3 punches. Although these Soul Eaters were also conscious, they were not as strong as human beings, and 2 of them were directly caught by Han Fei. Swish. Han Fei used the draw technique, and the remaining 2 Soul Eaters were chopped by him. During this period, Han Fei felt a tingling in his head, but it was not intense. He immediately sneered at the soul attack of these Soul Eaters. Puff, puff, puff. In less than 2 minutes, 4 Soul Eaters were killed. There was another one that Han Fei was controlling to pretend to attack him. After studying it for a while, he found that the soul of the Soul Eater was filthy and full of all kinds of fighting scenes, which were meaningless. So, he chopped this one with a knife. Putting away the pure soul bead, Han Fei looked back and found that there were only 2 half-mermaids left. 6 people came, but only 2 were left in an instant. This was the combat effectiveness of Han Fei's team. Chapter 891. In an instant, these Soul Eaters were killed. Han Fei stood aside and watched Zhang Xuanyu and the others leisurely, using the 2 as sparring partners. Zhang Xuanyu was dealing with an intermediate hanging fisher half-mermaid. In terms of pure strength, Zhang Xuanyu, who didn't use the majestic mystic spell, was much weaker than him. However, Zhang Xuanyu was too skilled in using rod technique. His fancy rod combat skills could barely block the bombardment of the half-mermaid. A lot of Lu Renquang's ultra-quality spiritual weapons were broken. He had no choice but to use the majestic mystic spell to fight with the half-mermaid in the advanced sea demon realm. With the help of Luo Xiaobai's parasitic technique, the half-mermaid in the advanced sea demon realm was forced to retreat. Han Fei watched with great interest and shouted from time to time, "Yu, your physique is still a little weak. You have to work harder in this aspect. Quang, you have a level 7 spiritual heritage. Why can't you even defeat one person? Xiaobai, the power of the parasitic technique is not enough." Zhang Xuanyu's battle was full of afterimages. While barely resisting the attacks of the half-mermaid, he responded, "Don't be so particular about sharpening. The more you fight, the greater the benefit." Quang said, "Get me more semi-divine weapons. Now we don't have enough supreme-grade spirit artifact. They can easily be broken by others." 100 minutes passed in a flash. The advanced sea demon realm half-mermaid tried to escape twice, but was blown back by Han Fei's punch. Han Fei sneered. "I'm giving you face by using you to practice. Don't take advantage of me." Yu Shi almost cried. "Aren't these human beings too strong? They are only junior hidden fishers, but they are already so strong. How dare they use me to sharpen their weapons? Especially the manipulator, He had a lot of means. From time to time, various spiritual plants emerged from his body, some absorbing spiritual energy, some poisonous, and some drilling into his flesh and blood. Oh! See God strike! Yushi launched a desperate attack. A phantom descended, and a terrifying force slapped like a tide. Divine Turtle Shield. Clang, Lurenquang was blasted back 2 or 3 steps and rushed up again. This scene dumbfounded Yushi. Did he even take it head-on? Han Fei, on the other hand, felt that it was only natural. Lurenquang, who had used the majestic mystic spell, couldn't even take this blow? Then how could he be a prodigy? However, while Han Fei was watching the show, he suddenly felt that a powerful aura was approaching. With this, Han Fei found that power was condensing more than 80 kilometers away. A moment later, a spider monster nearly 100 meters long appeared. Immediately, Han Fei's face changed and he immediately shouted, "Zhang Xuanyu, Xiaobai, end the battle. A strong enemy is coming." Hearing what Han Fei said, the 3 of them frowned. A strong enemy that could make Han Fei nervous was definitely not something these half-mermaids could compare with. Roar! Blade burial art. Lu Renquang went crazy, and 100 huge knife shadows fell from the sky. At the same time, 7 or 8 kinds of spiritual plants suddenly emerged from Yushi's body. His flesh and blood were drying up and being used as soil for the growth of spiritual plants. Zhang Xuanyu shouted, "Majestic mystic spell," and in the next second, momentary time appeared and pierced the half-mermaid. Pucci. Lu Renquang had also been beheaded. Han Fei immediately sent a large amount of spiritual energy to the 3 of them, and Lu Renquang and Zhang Xuanyu took out an energy fruit at the same time and stuffed it into their mouth. This kind of tempering battle consumed a lot of energy. At this moment, a strong enemy was coming, so they had to replenish their energy. Luo Xiaobai asked, "Who is it?" Han Fei shook his head. "It's not a human. It should be a soul-eater like a big spider. However, it has spider horns and even human hand bones. It's 100 meters long like a hill." "Wow!" Zhang Xuanyu was stunned. "Fei, are you sure we can beat this thing?" Lu Renquang was also stunned. "Fei, isn't this a bit too strong?" Luo Xiaobai didn't say anything and had already begun to summon a large number of gray vines. Within hundreds of meters, a large number of gray vines emerged from the ground, and some were entwining with each other, condensing into large vines. Han Fei said, "I'll go and have a look. If it's impossible, just run away." Swish! Han Fei rushed out and quickly flew towards the big spider. Along the way, some small soul-eaters appeared, but they were smashed by Han Fei with a few punches. Han Fei didn't even have time to take the pure soul beads. After a while, when Han Fei was less than 100 meters away from the big spider, he was horrified. He was not frightened by the strength of the opponent, but by its appearance. Looking at it face to face, he could feel the disgust of this monster more than he could perceive it. The mouth of the big spider was more like the mouth of a centipede. On its torso, there were more than 30 hand bones. Its head and abdomen were covered with scary red eyes, especially its big belly, which seemed to be oozing pus, and disgusting sticky liquid was dripping out. In his eyes, information emerged. Name Soul Eater introduction in the land of ghosts full of killing, the death aura condenses and does not dissipate. The souls of creatures gradually give birth to consciousness and devour each other. Soul-eater beasts of various shapes are formed due to forced devouring. Soul-eater beasts condense a solid body and like to eat souls and flesh. Soul-eaters may have a variety of combat characteristics, each different. Level 61 Quality, Undead Creature, contains immortal energy greater than 46,895 points, collectible immortal energy, pure soul bead absorbable. As soon as he saw the information, Han Fei felt that the surrounding seawater became viscous. There were countless soul threads trying to buckle him. The invincible fist mark broke out, forcibly blasted through the soul threads, and Han Fei ran back. While running, Han Fei said to the spider via voice transmission, "This is not a soul eater, but a soul eater beast. It's at the sea spirit level, and can attack the soul." Han Fei frowned. Soul eater beasts could break through to the sea spirit level, which meant that outsiders couldn't break through to the law enforcer level, but the death aura here was strong, so they were not affected. Swish, swish, swish. Soul threads emerged from the void and shot directly at Han Fei. They were so fast that Han Fei had to use the flash ability from time to time. With a flip of his hand, gravity descended, and the spider soul eater beast suddenly became unstable and fell to the ground. However, it immediately got up and crawled quickly. Han Fei frowned. Should I let Luo Xiaobai and the others face a sea spirit level creature? If everyone had to stay in this sea area for a long time, they would encounter more than one soul eater beast in the future. It was very necessary to familiarize themselves with and understand the fighting methods of the soul eater beast in advance. Immediately, Han Fei said via voice transmission, "Xiaobai, I've lured it over. The three of you help from the side and stay away from me. I'll kill it myself. Xiaobai, remember to pay attention to the details of the battle of the soul eater beast." Hearing Han Fei's words, Luo Xiaobai immediately said to Zhang Xuanyu and Lu Renquang, "Retreat in 3 directions. Han Fei will lead this battle." As a team that had long been very compatible with each other, they had absolute trust in each other at this time. Since Han Fei didn't allow them to participate, he naturally had his reasons. Otherwise, according to Han Fei's personality, there was a 99% chance that he would just watch the 3 of them fight to the death over there, and he would be eating sea melon seeds by the side. After a while, when Zhang Xuanyu and the other 2 saw the big spider, they all felt their scalps go numb. Lu Renquang's face trembled. "Isn't this a bit too disgusting? Why is the ancient battlefield full of these things?" Gulp. Zhang Xuanyu swallowed and said, "No wonder Han Fei didn't let us attack. This son of AB*TCH, it's not easy to fight." Luo Xiaobai shouted in a low voice, "Zhang Xuanyu, activate all your secret methods and assist from the side. Attack its eyes all over its body. Lu Renquang, try to see if the torrents of knives and swords are effective. If it doesn't work, use the torrents of knives and swords to attract its attention and create enough opportunities for Han Fei to attack." Understood. The 3 of them retreated at least 2,000 meters. Han Fei flashed all the way and led the big spider into a large area of gray vines. At the same time, he took out a mint leaf, stuffed it into his mouth, and shouted in a low voice, "Fuse." When the yin-yang divine eyes appeared, Han Fei's reaction speed increased again. His purpose was not to kill this soul eater quickly, but to understand the fighting characteristics of the soul eater beast so that Luo Xiaobai could analyze more information. Therefore, Han Fei did not use the needleless lines or the sacrificing punch, but only used the infinity water to crazily crush those soul threads. He bombarded them with the art of invincibility. Boom, boom. In the blink of an eye, dozens of golden fist marks blasted out. As a result, the human hand bone hanging on the big spider was detached and blocked the art of invincibility. However, how strong was the art of invincibility for Han Fei, who had used the Overlord's technique? In this case, even ordinary peak-level hidden fissures could be smashed with one blow, let alone these bone dregs. Crack, crack, crack. In the blink of an eye, half of the hand bones were shattered. Han Fei's figure flickered, and the second round of golden fist marks smashed all the hand bones. Among them, 7 or 8 golden fist marks fell on the big spider, blasting a few bloody holes. Luo Xiaobai immediately said, "Its defense is not strong. Parasitize." In an instant, a large area of vines and thorny blades of grass emerged from the big spider's body. Puff! Zhang Xuanyu burst a big eyeball with a flash of time. Lu Renquang roared wildly, and the torrents of knives and swords poured directly into the big spider's body through the hole that was smashed. Roar! The big spider's body rose up and directly cast a power similar to soul explosion in front of Luo Xiaobai, Zhang Xuanyu, Lu Renkuang, and Han Fei. Rumble, puff, 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 they were all bleeding from the 7 apertures of their heads. Even Zhang Xuanyu was no exception. Lu Renkuang vomited blood. Luo Xiaobai's face changed drastically. Lu Renkuang, step back. Han Fei's soul power should not be weaker than this big spider, but he was also bleeding from the 7 apertures of his head. However, he didn't care. The golden fist marks were about to attack the eyeballs of this big guy. However, the eyes all over the big spider suddenly glowed red. Han Fei's face changed immediately and he shouted, "Everyone, retreat." Chapter 892. In the blink of an eye, at the moment when those eyes turned red, Han Fei blasted out dozens of golden fist marks. However, the fist marks were wrapped in 10 void lines. A strange red mist appeared, and Han Fei suddenly felt as if he were entangled by thousands of spider silks. He felt so sleepy that he would fall asleep at any time. Fortunately, the peppermint leaves in his mouth kept him awake. At that moment, Han Fei hurriedly used the law of gravity, directly suppressing the gravity within the range of the big spider. The irregular gravity directly pressed it to the ground. At the same time, after the void lines hung on the chaotic soul of the big spider, Han Fei felt that his head was about to explode. It was an extremely violent and bloodthirsty feeling. All kinds of negative emotions rushed into his body. Chilla! The infinity water returned and directly tore apart the invisible force around Han Fei. Han Fei roared and the sacrificing punch erupted. Rumble! The huge spider's head was smashed by Han Fei's punch. Most of the body of the big spider also exploded, and a hole was blasted from head to tail by Han Fei. After killing the big spider, Han Fei didn't hurry to pick up the pure soul bead but quickly swam to the Zhang Xuanyu trio. Fortunately, the strange power of the big spider only made Lu Renkuang fall asleep. Because he killed it fast enough, Zhang Xuanyu and Luo Xiaobai barely drooped their eyelid. After a moment, Han Fei shook Lu Renkuang awake. Lu Renkuang opened his eyes in a daze. "What's wrong? Have you eaten?" Han Fei was annoyed. "Eat my ass. We were almost eaten." Han Fei couldn't help but have a lingering fear. Is this the power of the law of the big spider? Making people sleep? It was conceivable that if he hadn't blocked it just now and fell asleep, it would have been over. If he couldn't endure it, he would end up being eaten alive. When Lu Renkuang remembered the scene just now, he was trembling with fear. "It's terrible. Were we almost eaten?" Zhang Xuanyu said grumpily. "Even if we were eaten, we would have eaten you first. You are the fattest." Luo Xiaobai calmed down. From this soul-eating beast, we can see one thing. In terms of strength and speed, it can't compare with a real law enforcer. However, its methods were terrifying. Those eyes should be its nomological ability. Otherwise, there was no way it could have such a strong hypnotic effect. Its physique isn't strong, and we can basically conclude that the body formed by this kind of undying creature isn't strong. But it's not absolute. Who knows, there might occasionally be a few with a strong physique. Zhang Xuanyu held Luo Xiaobai's vines and panted. "This guy's soul explosion is really powerful." Luo Xiaobai shook her head. "No, not good enough. Think about it, your soul explosion is also very powerful. If you become a law enforcement officer, what will happen if you use the soul explosion?" Zhang Xuanyu was slightly stunned. "Maybe it can kill it." Luo Xiaobai nodded. "That's right. Its soul attack was not as powerful as it seemed, but it was still extremely dangerous. All in all, it could be concluded that the soul-devouring beasts were relatively weak. If we had chosen to escape from the beginning, it probably wouldn't have chased us so far, nor would it have had the ability to stop us." Han Fei said lightly, "But it has just entered the sea spirit level. What if there are more powerful sea spirits?" Luo Xiaobai said solemnly, "This is what I want to say next. Although we are the only ones who have come here, the creatures here can completely grow up to become law enforcers. In other words, the danger is greater than we think. Especially in places like the ruins, the probability of such soul-devouring beasts appearing will increase. Han Fei took out a pure soul bead larger than a night-luminescent pearl from the body of the soul-eating beast and threw it to Lu Renquang. Your soul power is too weak. You'd better take advantage of this ancient battlefield to swallow more of this. Lu Renquang didn't refuse. He knew that his soul was weak and Zhang Xuanyu's physique was not strong. After the battle just now, Lu Renquang hurriedly said, "I'll eat more of these pure soul beads later." Luo Xiaobai nodded. "Not now. Where did that soul-devouring beast come from? Let's hurry over. Maybe there are some ruins. The place where such a powerful creature lives should not be simple." Everyone nodded quickly. On the way, there were some soul-devourers that Han Fei had just killed. When Lu Renquang saw them, he ran over and took out the pure soul bead. Luo Xiaobai searched the sea-swallowing seashell of the half-mermaid she had just killed and then said, "There are very few things. There are only more than 30 pure soul beads in total. You can have them all." Han Fei said, "Wait a minute, give me one. Let me try it and see if I can know how much soul power it contains." Luo Xiaobai handed over one casually. Although this kind of pure soul power can be directly absorbed, it doesn't mean that this part of soul power can immediately become a part of you. It also takes time to digest. If you take a lot, you may absorb a little more, but it's impossible to absorb all of it. Han Fei put it in his mouth casually, and suddenly, a familiar feeling rushed into his mind. However, after a while, he shook his head slightly. It's a bit low. This was much less than the divine soul power that he had absorbed through the void lines. Han Fei still remembered that the soul power he forcibly absorbed and converted into spiritual power was less than 200 points. This pure soul bead was not even half of the original. Although he was now at a bottleneck in all aspects, he still had some experience. Zhang Xuanyu also took one and stuffed it into his mouth. "So little?" "Ha, a lot." Lu Renquang said helplessly. "Okay, both of you have strong soul power. Why do you compete with me?" With that, Lu Renquang threw a bead into his mouth like throwing a candy bean and immediately exclaimed, "You call this little?" Luo Xiaobai said, "Stop eating. We're here." This was a big hole that had been squeezed out of the ground. Judging from the traces of the hole, it was more like a nest. It was like a seabed sandworm would expose its head to the outside when it hunted. That was why the giant spider had occupied this place just now and used it to hunt for food. With a thought from Luo Xiaobai, a large number of vines drilled into the hole, and after a while she said, "There is no threat. There are some bones and some weapons." Hearing that there was no threat, everyone jumped in directly. The big spider was big enough, so the hole was also very big. When they came to the cave, Han Fei saw a mud-like cave with piles of bones in it. Some of the bones were pale golden, but because it had been too long, they had long lost their luster. "How?" Lu Renquang quickly ran to the center of a pile of bones, pulled out a long knife, and shook it with his power. The blade shone brilliantly. "So many. Is this knife a divine weapon?" Han Fei took out the blood-drinking knife and slashed at it with a swish. With a clang, he said in astonishment, "Semi-divine weapon." "Semi-divine weapon?" Lu Renquang immediately looked excited. "Am I so lucky that I can find a semi-divine weapon so easily?" Zhang Xuanyu quickly searched the bones and said, "What do you mean it's so easy? If I let you come alone, can you deal with that guy just now?" "Ha ha." Lu Renquang smiled innocently. Then, he found a large shield in a patch of soil. Clang, another semi-divine weapon? Even Han Fei was speechless. Were the people in ancient times all so rich? Any weapon they took out was a semi-divine weapon? Zhang Xuanyu said, "Look for it. Is there a stick?" Han Fei said he would refine a stick for me, but he hasn't given it to me yet. Han Fei curled his lips. "I'm busy. Han Fei was stunned for a moment. Han Fei manipulated the infinity water to spin on the ground, and in the end, he really dug out a stick. Zhang Xuanyu's eyes lit up. A semi-divine weapon? The corners of Han Fei's mouth twitched. Be careful. It's definitely not a good thing that there are so many semi-divine weapons on the ancient battlefield. Luo Xiaobai nodded. Yes. Obviously, one is that their enemy was very strong at that time. Then, will we encounter such an enemy next? Another is that semi-divine weapons are not rare here. We got a few at random, and others should also get a few. After a while, a total of 7 semi-divine weapons were dug out from this nest. Except for a pair of divine daggers and a stick, the rest were all taken by Lu Renquang. Han Fei was helpless. Fine, I'll keep the daggers. Xiaobai, you really don't need weapons? Luo Xiaobai looked at Han Fei. If you want to make one for me, I want a long whip and a set of battlesuit. I want divine weapons. Han Fei grinned. Then let's wait until we go back. Han Fei was a little excited. Well, let's forget about other things first. Let's find these soul-eating beasts first and get 1,000 or 800 semi-divine weapons. Then I will melt them into divine weapons. Zhang Xuanyu nodded repeatedly. That makes sense. Lu Renquang nodded again and again. I agree very much. My armor box is not full yet. Everyone. Chapter 893. After Lu Renquang and Zhang Xuanyu both refined the semi-divine weapons, Han Fei said leisurely, We were going to look for relics. However, this is obviously not a relic. There's no reason why Xiaobai would sense a semi-divine weapon. Luo Xiaobai's eyes lit up. So, there must be a relic nearby. Han Fei nodded. Yes, it shouldn't be far. Otherwise, there's no reason that we could easily dig out 7 semi-divine weapons in this damn place. It doesn't make sense. Zhang Xuanyu curled his lips and said, Maybe, in ancient times, the worst weapon was a semi-divine weapon? Han Fei looked at Zhang Xuanyu speechlessly. Do you believe it? Zhang Xuanyu chuckled. Indeed, he didn't believe it either. On the Scattered Stars Island, how much was a semi-divine weapon worth? Was it something that just anyone could have? It should be said that most of the weapons had become scrap iron. Only the semi-divine weapons that were powerful enough could survive. As soon as they came out of the cave, they suddenly looked in one direction at the same time. There were faint water ripples vibrating there, as if someone was fighting. Han Fei was overjoyed. Let's go and have a look. This was the case in the sea. Most creatures could sense where and what kind of creatures were through sounds and various sound waves. Han Fei and the others didn't have this ability, so they could only go and see for themselves. Of course, there would inevitably be soul eaters along the way. However, this time no one was here. It was very likely that the relic had been discovered by others, so Luo Xiaobai directly entered the stealth state. Han Fei killed one soul eater at a time, which made Zhang Xuanyu and Lu Renquang's blood freeze. Zhang Xuanyu exclaimed, Fei Fei, just how strong are you now? You're not human anymore. Han Fei slapped his thigh. F***ck, Luo Xiaobai asked, What's wrong? Han Fei suddenly felt a little sorry for the 3 of them and said leisurely, I forgot to tell you something. Lu Renquang tilted his head. What did you do to us? Han Fei said, Actually, it's nothing. Let me tell you, it may not be possible for the time being. Zhang Xuanyu said anxiously, Then tell me. Han Fei said leisurely, Spiritual energy can be disassembled. After about 10 minutes, Zhang Xuanyu and the others really wanted to slap Han Fei to the ground. Zhang Xuanyu said angrily, You didn't tell us such an important thing? I say your strength has increased by more than just a little. Soul Devourer, 1 blade for 1, combined with 1 point of spiritual energy can be used as 2 points, the power multiplied. Han Fei smiled awkwardly. Not exactly, but it will be much stronger. In the same realm, if you learned how to disassemble spiritual energy, you could almost crush your opponent. Of course, geniuses are an exception. Luo Xiaobai nodded. This matter needs to be put on the agenda. I have to try it when I go back. Buzz! A wave of water came toward him. Their pupils constricted, and Luo Xiaobai frowned. It's poisonous. Han Fei felt it too. However, the heaven spirit detoxifying insect only moved slightly, indicating that the poison was not strong. Immediately, Zhang Xuanyu and Lu Renquang covered their bodies with spiritual energy to block the poison. After a while, within Han Fei's perception range, a group of about 20 half-mermaids were fighting a weird crab, which was also a soul-eating beast. Han Fei smiled. Sea demons are fighting soul-eating beasts. Let's sneak over in stealth. Luo Xiaobai wondered, we're not even 500 kilometers away. Another one? Han Fei dropped a concealment array and said, maybe it's dangerous here, but there shouldn't be so many. If they are all soul-eating beasts, we won't be able to fight them. After passing more than 70 kilometers, Han Fei and the others had slowed down a lot. In Han Fei's perception, 2 people had used the secret method of Sea God Descends, and 2 heavenly talents were among them. Luo Xiaobai nodded. Don't worry. Let's wait for them to finish fighting. Han Fei, is that soul-eating crab very strong? Han Fei shook his head. No, look, its carapace has been pierced by others. But its recovery speed is very fast. Look, small crabs are crawling on its body everywhere, and the broken parts are repaired after a while. Zhang Xuanyu said, I don't know whether that crab is strong or not, but I know that those half-mermaids are very strong. They are even stronger than me with the majestic mystic spell. Han Fei smiled. They are at the peak level of the sea demon realm. Do you think they are the same as you? Lu Renquang said, I hope that big crab can kill more of them. Just as Lu Renquang was talking, a half-mermaid used the flying flower demon flash to the top of the big crab's head, and a huge harpoon fell from the sky, directly piercing the big crab's shell. However, the following scene was still fresh in Han Fei's memory. Inside the shell, 3 snake heads rushed out and bit the half-mermaid to death. 2 huge heads rushed into the crowd, and then some half-mermaids began to go crazy and attack their companions. Han Fei shrugged. I knew it wouldn't be that easy. I have to take a few people with me before I die. BM, 2 powerhouses at the peak level of the sea demon realm and a heavenly talent attacked at the same time and cut off the 3 snakehead. Only then did they really kill this soul-eating beast. Han Fei smacked his lips and said, It's better to have more people. Under the effect of the secret method, ordinary soul-eating beasts still have little resistance to the strong. The only thing worth praising is that their attack methods are different. If it were the big spider just now, they would have killed more than these few people. With that, Han Fei shouted, Attack! As he spoke, Han Fei dashed out. Everyone! Zhang Xuanyu said helplessly, At least wait for them to come out before killing them. There are more than 10 of them. Han Fei had already rushed up. What could Luo Xiaobai and the others do? Attack? The 2 powerhouses at the peak level of the sea demon realm had just put away Sea God's Descent and were still a little weak at the moment. One of them said, Take a rest and attack later. As soon as he said this, they all looked in Han Fei's direction at the same time. Enemy attack, humans. On this side, the sea demons who had just relaxed immediately summoned their companion spirits again. However, they found that there were only 4 people coming from the opposite side. The half-mermaids were dumbfounded. Are you kidding me? 4 people coming to attack our team of 20 people? A half-mermaid in a golden battle suit grinned. I'll go meet that guy. Before he finished speaking, the man's eyes widened because he saw a pair of phantom wings spread out behind Han Fei with a whoosh. It's him, Han Fei, a human heavenly talent. The faces of the 2 captain-level powerhouses changed drastically. You AI, Sea God's Descent, hurry up. Although they were a little excited that Blue Feather wanted to kill him, they definitely wouldn't underestimate him. Almost at the same time, the two half-mermaid heavenly talents used sea god's descent. Boom! Boom! Golden fist prints poured out in torrent. Han Fei suddenly accelerated and used the draw technique, slashing directly at a powerhouse at the peak level of the sea demon realm. That guy had just used sea god's descent. At this moment, he couldn't use it again immediately. However, he was not afraid and fought Han Fei head-on with sea god's strike. However, Han Fei had activated the Overlord's technique. How could he be defeated so easily? Puff! With a cold knife light, Han Fei directly cut this person in half. Swish! 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 Han Fei rushed into the crowd and swept past frantically, and the blood-drinking knife began to harvest. A big fish spewing flames enveloped Han Fei, but Han Fei ignored it. A pair of pincers clamped down on Han Fei but were shattered by his fists. A soul bombarded Han Fei, but that person was punched to death by Han Fei. Puff, puff, puff. Han Fei rushed into the crowd, and in just 2 seconds, 5 people were killed and 2 were blasted away. Sky swallowing technique. Knife burial technique. The sky was full of knife shadows, falling from the sky, and the seawater was cut. Spirit summoning, parasitic, poison explosion, momentary time. In an instant, Zhang Xuanyu's momentary time stabbed one to death. Although Lu Renquang didn't kill any of them, he directly separated all of them. With the help of Luo Xiaobai's parasitic technique, spiritual plants drilled out of many people's bodies. While he was panicking, he was chopped off by Han Fei. The peak-level Sea Demon Realm cultivator, who had just walked out of the void, found that Han Fei suddenly flashed over, hit him with a punch, and buckled him with the void lines at the same time. The man was punched to the bottom of the water. A heavenly talent forcibly broke free from Lu Renquang with the phantom of Sea God and blasted him away. Luo Xiaobai swept her vines, grabbed Zhang Xuanyu and Lu Renquang at the same time, and pointed at the half-mermaid heavenly talent. Blue enigmatic barrier. At this moment, Han Fei had killed 8 heavenly talents. Suddenly, there was thunder in the sea, and the thunder-frenzied knife slashed a person. Lu Renquang grinned. This secret method is really strong, comparable to the majestic mystic spell. However, is my level 4 thunder rushing knife so easy to block? The situation on the battlefield was directly reversed. Han Fei had already killed another peak-level Sea Demon Realm powerhouse. At the same time, the peak-level Sea Demon Realm powerhouse controlled by Han Fei flew over from the bottom of the sea, and when passing by 2 half-mermaids, he suddenly attacked. You axe, what are you doing? Are you crazy? Han Fei didn't kill them, but controlled Yu Axe to attack the 2 half-mermaid heavenly talents. With Han Fei's control proficiency, it was easy to imagine the result. As soon as Yu Axe attacked, it was pressed to the ground. However, Han Fei didn't panic at all. While fighting the enemy, he is trying to control Yu Axe to explode. But this time, he encountered strong resistance. Humph! Explode! Boom! The 2 half-mermaid heavenly talents were stunned. How did things become like this? The self-explosion of a peak-level Sea Demon Realm powerhouse was so powerful that they couldn't even maintain the secret method of Sea God Descends. Zhang Xuanyu and the other 2 had taken the opportunity to attack. Han Fei grinned, withdrew the void lines, and flashed to the side of the Sea Demon Realm powerhouse who was preparing to use Blood Escape. With a punch, the opponent actually used his associated spirit, a big fish, to die for him. Sacrifice. Han Fei controlled the opponent's associated spirit. At the same time, he punched out with the sacrificing punch, directly crushing the opponent. Then, he used the draw technique to hack the big fish to death. He hurriedly stuffed an energy fruit into his mouth and waited for 2 minutes. When the man came out of the void, Han Fei flashed and slapped him with his palm. At that time, he was desperate. He knew why Yu Axe attacked his companion. Han Fei actually had the means to control the soul. Chapter 894. Han Fei killed more than half of the half-mermaids with this move. Except for the 3 who escaped with Blood Escape, The two heavenly talents were almost driven crazy. Blood escape didn't work. Han Fei used the spirit sealing technique on the two of them, causing the spiritual energy in their bodies to stagnate. Before they could activate the blood escape, they were directly bombarded by Zhang Xuanyu and Lu Renquang. For a moment, 9-layered waves in Furious Sea and Berserk War Body were activated. The two of them no longer had a chance to escape. Luo Xiaobai knew what Han Fei meant. This was what he left for Zhang Xuanyu and Lu Renquang to practice. However, Luo Xiaobai looked at the powerhouse at the peak level of the Sea Demon realm next to Han Fei and asked in surprise, "Can you control them?" Han Fei chuckled. "It's a secret method of the soul." Luo Xiaobai was speechless. How many more tricks does Han Fei have? She was shocked by the scene just now. The phantom glass wings were so powerful that they could appear and disappear unpredictably. Now, Han Fei suddenly had a soul combat skill that could control other people, which was really incredible to her. The battle lasted for 100 seconds, and Zhang Xuanyu and Lu Renquang ran out of energy. His opponent's Sea God Descent technique was useless. After a round of fierce battle, the two of them were covered with cuts and bruises. However, neither Han Fei nor Luo Xiaobai intended to help. In the end, Lu Renquang went crazy and tore the enemy apart. Zhang Xuanyu traded injury for injury, barely killing his opponent with instant of time. As for his immortal seal, it was even more useless. Han Fei had now found a way to resist the immortal seal. The moment his opponent came out, he calmly used the drawing technique to kill him. As for Dying Strike, it was blocked by Lu Renquang. Lu Renquang fell asleep on the ground, hugging the vines and gasping for air. No, I'm exhausted. This half-mermaid heavenly talent is really strong." Han Fei cast the divine healing technique on each of them and said with a smile, "How about this whetstone?" Zhang Xuanyu panted. "You're too good at grinding. If there were another 7 or 8 battles like this, I feel that my potential would be completely stimulated." Han Fei curled his lips and said, "Okay, there will be plenty of battles later." Everything had been restored. Was this a relic? Maybe there will be a fierce battle later. As he spoke, he looked at the entrance of the cave not far away. This should be the place Little White was referring to. Zhang Xuanyu gasped and pointed at the powerhouse at the peak level of the Sea Demon realm next to Han Fei. "What's going on here?" "It's a soul secret technique. I can use it to explore the way." "Oh my God!" Lu Renquang said, "Fei, give me some spiritual energy. I'm hungry." Speechless, Han Fei poured spiritual energy into the two of them. Suddenly, Luo Xiaobai said, "Wait, let me see if I can deprive this person of his soul power with plant parasites." Luo Xiaobai said seriously, but Han Fei was shocked. "Plant control." Luo Xiaobai said, "Plants are conscious too." The problem was that he didn't know if he could seize the consciousness of sea demons like he seized the consciousness of spiritual plant. "If it's possible, we'll have an extra fighter." Han Fei and the other two looked surprised when they heard this. If it worked, wouldn't it mean that Luo Xiaobai had mastered a powerful soul secret technique? After a while, Han Fei felt that the half-mermaid's body was full of fine grass. Some of those blades of grass came out of his nose, ears, eyes, and mouth. At this moment, Han Fei withdrew most of the void lines. He felt that there was a force competing for control of his soul. So he simply took back all the void lines. The peak-level Sea Demon realm expert lay directly on the ground, rolling frantically. Luo Xiaobai's eyes were white, and there was a faint trace of blood on the corner of her mouth. After nearly 10 minutes, she said with a pale face, "I succeeded." Han Fei was shocked. "You succeeded?" Luo Xiaobai smiled bitterly. "He is much stronger than me, and it's very difficult to control him. If you hadn't controlled him first, I wouldn't have had any chance to succeed. Even if he was in the same realm as me, or even a peak-level hanging fisher, if he resisted, it would be difficult for me to succeed." "Oh." Han Fei spat out a mouthful of bubbles. "I was scared to death. And here I thought that divine manipulators were really that awesome. I have the power of the void fishing art, but she can directly parasitize me. At this time, the sea demon realm expert swam up and floated in the water. Han Fei and the other three sat cross-legged and began to recover their strength. 1 hour later, everyone got up. During this period, some soul eaters came over, but they were easily dealt with by Han Fei. As for the others, they hadn't seen them yet. At this moment, 4 people and a puppet were standing at the entrance of the cave and looking down. Han Fei perceived that there was a passage below, which was full of all kinds of corpses. Lu Renkuang's mouth trembled. So many people died down there? Will there be a great horror? Zhang Xuanyu said, I saw the knife. It fell into the corpse. Luo Xiaobai looked at Han Fei. Do you feel danger? Of course there will be danger. But isn't this guy leading the way? Han Fei pointed to the peak-level sea demon realm half-mermaid and said, he goes first. With a thought from Luo Xiaobai, the half-mermaid dived directly. Soon, they reached the bottom. After walking for dozens of kilometers, Luo Xiaobai shook her head and said, it's safe for now. We can go down. Hearing this, Lu Renkuang was the first to jump down. Han Fei was speechless. Hey, didn't you refuse to go down? Lu Renkuang said without looking back, there are knives down there. Han Fei. After a while, the 4 of them landed in this passage. Han Fei was a little stunned. Is this a tunnel? Han Fei looked around. It was about 15 meters high and 50 meters wide. And here was covered with corpses, including those of humans, sea demons, and marine creatures. Anyway, as far as the eye could see, there were corpses everywhere. Wow! Zhang Xuanyu sighed. How many people died back then? This scene reminded Han Fei of the Heavenly Desolate City. The Heavenly Desolate City had been fighting for more than 200 years, and all the strong masters had died. Therefore, no large number of strong masters appeared in the end. But he couldn't help but sigh. If those people were all dead, wouldn't it be the same? Corpses were everywhere, but no one collected them. Han Fei sighed. Let's collect the weapons here. If I'm not mistaken, something must have happened here back then. Many people are trying to escape here. Lu Renkuang asked, why did they escape? Luo Xiaobai answered for Han Fei, if they didn't escape, no one would choose such a narrow place, which is not conducive to fighting. So, they probably escaped. Han Fei raised his head 45 degrees and said leisurely, let's look around and see if there are any usable weapons, okay? Collect all the weapons that can be used. Even if we give them away, at least we can let these weapons see the light of day again and continue to kill enemies. However, no one responded to Han Fei. Lu Renkuang was already holding 5 or 6 weapons in his hands. At this moment, he was slashing at the weapons, muttering, oh no, these are not semi-divine weapons. These ultra-quality spiritual weapons have been preserved to this day and are not damaged. Zhang Xuanyu said, I found a semi-divine longsword. Luo Xiaobai's vines spread on the ground, raising a weapon from time to time, but most of them were ultra-quality spiritual weapons. Suddenly, she said, I found a pair of semi-divine daggers. Han Fei was speechless. Why are you so fast? It's not easy for me to pretend to be depressed. Why doesn't anyone respond to me? Zhang Xuanyu said, okay, Fei, don't just stand there. Hurry up and find them. Many weapons here are covered in dust. Knock on them to see if they are good or bad. Han Fei. Maybe because too many people died, many weapons were left behind. In the end, as long as the 3 of them saw a weapon, no matter what level it was, they would directly stuff it into the sea-swallowing seashell. Only when they encountered a semi-divine weapon would they shout. For example, Zhang Xuanyu shouted, I found a semi-divine stick. Lu Renkuang added, I found another semi-divine long knife. Luo Xiaobai added, I found another pair of semi-divine daggers. Han Fei was dumbfounded. Xiaobai, why are they all daggers? Luo Xiaobai threw all the daggers to Han Fei. They are for you. Han Fei was speechless. Why do I need so many daggers? Luo Xiaobai added, make a pair of good daggers for Xiaochan in the future. Han Fei was helpless. Xia Xiaochan already had semi-divine daggers. Not to mention semi-divine daggers, they were all using sea-quelling bizarre treasures. Of course, semi-divine weapons were always rare. After walking for more than 10 kilometers in the tunnel, they found a total of 8 semi-divine weapons. Han Fei said, wait a minute. Everyone. Han Fei began to set up an array. In order to prevent danger ahead, set up an array here first and leave a way out. Lu Renkuang laughed. Isn't there no danger? We have made a fortune. When we go back, we can sell these ultra-quality spiritual weapons. TSK, TSK, TSK. Han Fei said contemptuously, don't be blinded by temptation. Don't you think about it? We've walked for a long time, but we haven't found a single soul eater. Is it reasonable? Luo Xiaobai's face changed slightly. Yes. It doesn't make sense. I was deceived. Han Fei was speechless. So, who doesn't love treasures? Even Luo Xiaobai couldn't keep her mind. Han Fei said, after I set up the array, follow me through the array first in case you are trapped. Chapter 895. The more he walked forward, the more Han Fei felt something was wrong. There was a faint sense of crisis and pressure. Therefore, every 5 kilometers or so, Han Fei would set up an array. As for weapons, Lu Renkuang and the others had collected a lot. No matter how useless an ultra-quality spiritual weapon was, it was still an ultra-quality spiritual weapon. Han Fei felt that if this ancient battlefield was completely opened, then the weapons here might be enough to equip half of the scattered stars island. After walking for about 50 kilometers, Han Fei suddenly stopped everyone. Do you feel anything wrong? Luo Xiaobai shook her head. I've been paying attention, but I didn't find anything wrong. Han Fei shook his head. No, there must be something wrong. There are bones everywhere. How can there be nothing? Outside there are so many soul eaters. Besides, there are no ownerless souls here, not even a little bit. Luo Xiaobai asked, have you reached the end of your perception? Han Fei nodded. I've reached the end. It's because I've reached the end that I said so. At the forefront, the corpses are piled up into a mountain. There was no need to summon Little Black and Little White at all. Han Fei could find out the situation by himself without summoning Little Black and Little White. However, there were still about 80 kilometers ahead. There were still a lot of weapons scattered here, which made Han Fei a little hesitant. Han Fei said, wait for me here. I'll collect the weapons ahead. Zhang Xuanyu frowned. Is it really that dangerous? Lu Renkuang also sighed. If we can't, let's not collect the weapons ahead. Let's go back and find the next ruin. We've collected a lot of weapons. We've collected at least 20 semi-divine weapons. Han Fei rolled his eyes. I can't take a mountain of treasures for nothing. Wait for me. I'm fast. I'll come back after I catch the treasures. Luo Xiaobai said, then be careful. Han Fei strode forward. It was not difficult to find where the weapons were scattered. Han Fei didn't care about anything and just controlled the water to roll up the weapons. He grabbed them and threw them directly into Forge the Universe. 10 kilometers, 20 kilometers, 50 kilometers, 80 kilometers. It was not until Han Fei stood behind the pile of bones that he suddenly sensed something and found that there was a human corpse in the pile of bones. The moment he saw the corpse, Han Fei's eyes suddenly narrowed. Familiar. Isn't this the same kind of corpse that appeared in the undersea chimney? However, this one was slightly different. His corpse was even more complete. He wore a complete set of armor, and in his withered hands were 2 large sabers. As a refiner, Han Fei could tell at a glance that the man was covered with divine weapons, and not low-quality ones. Han Fei's heart seemed to be struck by lightning. He didn't dare to move, because he could feel that this person's body was surging with soul power. Could it be that he's not dead? Impossible. How many years has it been? How could he still be alive? Just when Han Fei was wondering whether he should retreat or not, something happened. The corpse suddenly opened its eyes. There were no eyeballs in its eyes, but a cluster of soul flames. Han Fei was so scared that he subconsciously wanted to retreat. However, he did not dare to move, because he felt that if he moved, the guy in front of him would also move. It was just a premonition, a natural feeling after learning divination. At this moment, Han Fei sensed that the spiritual energy in his body was flowing into the corpse. Han Fei sent a voice transmission back, retreat, slowly retreat to the entrance. If I don't come out in 3 hours, you can leave by yourselves. Luo Xiaobai and the other two received Han Fei's voice transmission, and their faces changed. Is he in danger? However, as companions, Luo Xiaobai and the other two immediately stepped back. In terms of speed, none of the three was faster than Han Fei now. If they stayed, they would only be a burden to Han Fei. However, they wouldn't leave without Han Fei. Han Fei must be in trouble. Otherwise, he wouldn't tell them so. Han Fei stood quietly and didn't speak. He was hesitating whether to use the void lines or not. But if the opponent was very strong and their soul power was much higher than his, he might not be able to resist it. After half an hour, Han Fei's fingers moved slightly. Just at the moment when his fingers moved, he saw the soul flames in the corpse's eyes soar, which scared him so much that he immediately stopped his movements. At the moment when Han Fei froze, the soul flames in the corpse's eyes returned to their original state. Brother, don't do that! In Han Fei's Forge the Universe, the fish skin array was unfolded at any time, and the law of gravity was brewing. The worst-case scenario was to enter Forge the Universe. However, the distance was so close. What was the point of entering Forge the Universe? He would still be here when he came out. After another half an hour, the corpse was still staring at him and absorbing his spiritual energy. Han Fei secretly took a breath and said, "Senior, I'm a human being." The soul flames in the corpse's eyes were burning, and his face was a little twisted. In the next moment, his dry skin began to fall off, and his whole body turned into soul flames. Damn it! Swish! Han Fei retreated quickly, and the phantom glass wings flashed out 9 clones at once. However, to Han Fei's shock, the corpse appeared next to Han Fei in an instant, and a palm made of soul flames directly grabbed at Han Fei. At that moment, the law of gravity suddenly descended. That corpse became unstable, and a bumpy sound came from its body as it completely turned into a skeleton, a golden skeleton with a soul flame attached to it. However, it looked especially strange under the contrast of the soul fire. Agility of wind, Overlord's technique, sea racing technique. Han Fei took this opportunity to jump out crazily. He didn't dare to use the void lines, because the enemy's soul flames were so intense. However, Han Fei only ran for 1 second before the law of gravity was broken. So fast! Han Fei felt that he had reached the limit. However, in his perception, the strong master was less than a kilometer away from him in the blink of an eye. In the blink of an eye, he was less than 100 meters away from him. Swish! 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 After 3 flashes, Han Fei was about to come for the 4th time, when a hand grabbed the back of his neck. At that moment, Han Fei was about to use the sky-dissecting finger. He was too strong. He shouldn't have come here to sweep the pile of corpses. However, Han Fei suddenly found that the man didn't have any killing intent. He just stopped carrying him, and he froze him with terrifying soul pressure. Then, the man extended a hand to him. Han Fei. Han Fei was shocked. Is he asking for a weapon? Immediately, Han Fei took out a semi-divine weapon and gave it to him. However, the man didn't even take it and still looked at him. Senior, you don't want a weapon? Do you want a spiritual spring? Han Fei immediately threw out a large mass of spiritual spring. However, this man didn't even look at the spiritual spring and let it be absorbed into his body. His hand was still reaching out to Han Fei. Even the spiritual spring? Do you want spirit awakening fluid? Yes. This man is obviously stronger than the one in the undersea chimney. Moreover, it's not just a little bit stronger. Han Fei took out another mass of spirit awakening fluid. However, the skeleton didn't even take it but still stretched out a hand to Han Fei. Han Fei immediately said, "Senior, can you say something? What do you want?" Suddenly, Han Fei thought of something. "What's the purpose of coming here? To find the sea-quelling painting. Does this man want the sea token? That's impossible. How could this ancient battlefield be related to the sea token?" However, Han Fei still took out a sea token. "Senior, this thing is useless to you, right?" The man grabbed the sea token and looked down at it. Why does he want the sea token from me? Does he also want the sea-quelling painting? Wait. This man has been dead for a long time. Now, I don't even know whether he has consciousness or not. Why does he want the sea-quelling painting? After a long time, a vague voice sounded in Han Fei's mind. "This place is dangerous. Don't break." With that, the man threw the sea token down again. He stretched out one hand, and the two long knives broke through the air with a swoosh and were caught upside down in his hands. The next moment, the man disappeared in an instant. Bang! 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 Han Fei heard continuous explosions. The array formations that he had set up were all destroyed. Luo Xiaobai and the other two were still waiting at the entrance of the cave. However, with a swoosh, a skeleton with a blue fire soul all over its body emerged from the cave. At that moment, the three of them broke out in a cold sweat and didn't dare to move. However, the skeleton just glanced at them and disappeared with a swoosh. It was so fast that they couldn't see it at all. "Fei, Fei!" Zhang Xuanyu and Lu Renquang hurriedly jumped into the cave and ran forward quickly, their faces all dark. However, before the three of them ran forward for a few kilometers, they saw Han Fei walking out of the tunnel with a dazed look. Lu Renquang shouted, "Are you okay?" "Just now that. Zhang Xuanyu asked, "Who was that? Wasn't he too strong?" Han Fei waved his hand and said, "I'm fine. That man was not hostile. He still had a little consciousness and knew that I was a human being." Luo Xiaobai asked, "He still had consciousness? Did he cultivate himself into an undead creature?" Han Fei shook his head. "I don't know. If he was an undead creature, his information should have appeared, right?" Han Fei said, "I suspect that there is not much consciousness left. These soul fires were all absorbed from the corpses in this passage. Just now I didn't dare to move, because I felt that I would be in danger if I move. That's why I let you go." Zhang Xuanyu said, "That man just glanced at me and I felt my legs go soft." Han Fei rolled his eyes and said, "Of course that man was too strong. When he was alive, he was definitely a first-class powerhouse. But why did he die in the tunnel?" Lu Renquang asked, "Isn't he still alive?" Han Fei shook his head. "There are not only human corpses in this tunnel. He doesn't attack humans now, but I don't know what will happen in the future." Luo Xiaobai said solemnly, "The danger of the ruins is beyond our imagination. He was lucky this time, but it might not be the same the next time. Let's go find the sealed artifacts first." Han Fei shook his head. "No, let's find the sea demons first. When they dig the ruins, we can rob them." Chapter 896. After surviving the disaster, Han Fei didn't want to take the risk of exploring any damn ruins again. Even if he wanted to explore, he couldn't go too deep. Han Fei still remembered what the corpse said. "It's dangerous here." Even such a strong master said it was dangerous, so it must be true. Han Fei said, "This time we got enough weapons. Although they are just weapons, this is a battlefield after all. On the battlefield there are too many weapons. I guess if we want to find better things, we have to go to the underground city." He had told Luo Xiaobai and the others about the underground city, so they were not surprised. Luo Xiaobai rolled her eyes. She knew what Han Fei was thinking. He was afraid that once the seal was opened, he would no longer be able to get the things in this ancient battlefield. Zhang Xuanyu raised his hand. Well, I agree. Can't I rob people if I don't explore secret realms? Lu Renkuang shrugged. I think it's okay to wait for the semi-divine weapons to fill my armor box. Die. Go away. F***ck off. Han Fei was speechless. Do you think we don't know how many weapons a F***king armor box can hold? It can hold thousands of weapons and you want me to fill it? Lu Renkuang chuckled. Anyway, we have to kill sea demons. Luo Xiaobai nodded. 3 days. 3 days later, we can hunt sea demons while looking for the seal. 3 days later, Zhang Xuanyu pierced a half-mermaid heavenly talent with his spear and sat on the ground. We've fought 16 battles. These guys really have a lot of good stuff. Lu Renkuang sat on the ground. Unfortunately, we can't eat hot pot here. Han Fei grabbed a pure soul bead in his hand, stuffed it into his mouth, and said while eating, "Take a break. Let's go. Let's go to the mountain ahead." Luo Xiaobai nodded. I suspect that mountain is also one of the ruins. This is the first mountain we've seen on this ancient battlefield. Han Fei nodded. Maybe it's also one of the locations of the sealed object. Luo Xiaobai nodded slightly. However, this mountain is so obvious. I think there should be a lot of people going there. Zhang Xuanyu smiled. That's great. We waited for the enemy to exhaust himself and squatted there. We'll kill every group that comes. Now, there are almost 100 semi-divine weapons, right? 88 pieces. I didn't see a single divine weapon. Zhang Xuanyu smiled and said, there are still 7 or 8 pieces that Quang took. It's normal to not have a divine weapon. We didn't explore the ruins, so even if there were a divine weapon, it wouldn't be our turn. Lu Renkuang suggested, Han Fei, why don't you give me those semi-divine weapons? You're also a divine weapon user, don't be so petty. Han Fei chuckled. Don't worry about it. Just leave them with me. The semi-divine weapons were no longer as useful as before. When he returned, he would refine them all into divine weapons. Remember, I want a large amount of spirit spring water. Get me as much as you can. Lu Renkuang curled his lips. Okay, you still have a bunch of things in my place. I came here in a hurry, so I didn't dare to bring it along. Han Fei said casually, it's okay. Those things are not urgent. The appearance of a mountain range on the battlefield was almost certain to be used. As soon as they arrived, Han Fei said, Xiaobai sensed that there are dangers here and a lot of sea demons. Let's go find the sirens first. Clang, clang. Before Han Fei swam far, there was a faint sound of fighting in the sea. Lu Renkuang's eyes lit up. Is someone fighting? No. Luo Xiaobai said, the sound is too rhythmic. It's not a battle. Han Fei sensed. There are sea demon remains. Well, some humans died here. Han Fei sensed that more than a dozen people had died halfway up the mountain. Some were sea demons and some were human beings. However, there was also an unknown bloody creature, which looked like a soul-devouring beast. Luo Xiaobai said, let's go. We have to take the bodies back. After a while, when they came to the hillside, they found 8 sea demons, 7 humans, and a serpent-like creature with 4 wings. A great battle had taken place around them, and the mountain was bombarded with pits everywhere. Some people were lying in that pit. Some people's ultra-quality battlesuits were shredded, and there was a red liquid on the ground. It shouldn't be blood, otherwise it would have been washed away. Luo Xiaobai sighed slightly and put away everyone's sea-swallowing seashells and undamaged weapons. And Han Fei looked at the big snake. His eyes flickered, and a piece of information appeared in his eyes. Name: sounding snake, dead. Introduction: an ancient gregarious sea snake that lives in mineral deposit. Where the sounding snake is, there is no vegetation and blood. It has 4 wings, comparable to divine weapons. Its wings vibrate, which can enchant people's minds and make them go crazy, making people kill each other. Level 59 quality, exotic, contains spiritual energy greater than 2068 points. Effect, taking the sounding bead can enhance hearing. Collectible sounding bead absorbable. Remarks, the sounding snake is a symbol of disaster. As soon as Han Fei dug out the sounding bead, he heard Luo Xiaobai say, "What did you find?" Han Fei listened to the sound coming from the water and said solemnly, "This is not a soul-devouring beast, but a kind of—" At this moment Lu Renkuang suddenly said, "Let's go in. I feel that there must be rare treasures and divine weapons here." Zhang Xuanyu said, "Are you out of your mind? Are you crazy for treasures?" Lu Renkuang said angrily, "What do you know? I haven't gone to the ruins for 3 days. Now that I've found it, how can I let it go? If you object again, I'll swallow you." "Oh, damn fatty, you've become arrogant, haven't you? Now that you're so capable, you still want to swallow me? Do you want to swallow me? Believe it or not, I can beat you from a fat man to a thin man." Luo Xiaobai shouted, "Stop it. Get out of the mountain if you keep arguing." Han Fei's eyes narrowed and he had a bad feeling. He was a little irritable for some reason. This feeling was very familiar. In the past, he would have this feeling when he fused with Little Black. Suddenly, Han Fei took out a cluster of mint leaves and said, "Shut up, all of you. One for each of you." Zhang Xuanyu said angrily, "I don't like that thing. I don't want to eat it." Lu Renkuang snorted. "I'm not in the mood. Han Fei, when did you become timid? Do you think we should explore the ruins or not?" Han Fei didn't speak, put a piece in his mouth, and then handed it to Luo Xiaobai. "Eat it." Luo Xiaobai hesitated and put the mint leaf in her mouth. Han Fei looked at Lu Renkuang and said, "You put a piece in your mouth and we'll go." Lu Renkuang immediately grabbed a few mint leaves and stuffed them into his mouth. Han Fei looked at Zhang Xuanyu. "You put a piece in your mouth and I'll give you a divine weapon." Zhang Xuanyu glanced at Han Fei strangely. "Really? If not, I'll poke you to death." When all 3 of them put the mint leaves in their mouths, suddenly they looked strange. Zhang Xuanyu said in a daze, "It seems that I was a little fierce just now?" Lu Renkuang exclaimed, "Why should I explore the ruins? I just seemed a little irritable." Luo Xiaobai looked at Han Fei. "This is?" Han Fei pointed to the pile of sea demon corpses and said, "It's impossible for a snake to kill so many people. They should have been tricked. Did you hear the sound from the mountain? It should have the power to bewitch people and mobilize negative emotions." "Hiss." Lu Renkuang said, "Cough, cough. I told you, I really wanted to fight just now. No, give me some more of these leaves." Han Fei said with a smile, You just wanted to poke me to death." Zhang Xuanyu scratched his head awkwardly. "Did I? That's impossible. Haha. It's a misunderstanding, a misunderstanding." Luo Xiaobai asked, "Then this winged snake," Han Fei said, "it should be the sound they made. Now there are still sounds on the mountain, which means that there is more than one of these snakes. There may be many of them." Everyone's face changed slightly. "So, we are actually the ones who were provoked to fight." Han Fei nodded and said, "Yes. And there are definitely more than one place. Around the mountain, we should be able to find a lot of fallen humans and sea demons." Luo Xiaobai nodded. "Then we have to take a look and bring back the human corpses." Han Fei said, "You go and look around. I want to explore this ruin." Lu Renkuang exclaimed, "Are you crazy? You know it's dangerous, but you still want to explore it?" Han Fei said, "My soul resistance is relatively strong. Besides, I have a lot of mint leaves, so I should be able to resist that temptation." Lu Renkuang blocked Han Fei. "Are you bewitched?" Han Fei laughed and scolded, "Nonsense. I'm afraid you are bewitched. Since there is more than one snake, it means that they are a kind of gregarious creature. Since this group of snakes could occupy this mountain ruins, it meant that they were already the biggest threat. This ruin is less dangerous than the bone tunnel." Luo Xiaobai frowned and said, "What if there is a snake king in it?" Han Fei grinned and said, As long as it is not a strong one like the one in the bone tunnel, how can this kind of local creature reach the peak level of the sea spirit realm? Don't worry, once I encounter a sea spirit level snake, I will immediately retreat. Zhang Xuanyu said, Fei Fei, do you have to take this risk? Let's go together, okay? Han Fei said grumpily, I'm afraid you can stab me to death if we go together. Besides, there must be other dead people nearby. Each of you take some peppermint leaves and look around. After all, they have been here for several days. They should have a lot of good things on them. Luo Xiaobai took a deep look at Han Fei. Then be careful. Do you want this puppet to go with you? Luo Xiaobai was referring to the controlled peak-level sea demon realm half-mermaid. These days, he had made a lot of contributions. Han Fei shook his head. No, he is not as good as me. It's useless. If he follows you, he will be a helper. Chapter 897. The mountain was dark red and there was no vegetation. Han Fei went all the way to the top of the mountain. Crossing the top of the mountain, Han Fei didn't find any sounding snake, but in the valley on the other side of the mountain, there was a faint sound of hitting plates. Han Fei felt his head was a little swollen, so he stuffed a few more mint leaves into his mouth. Han Fei found that the leaves of the purple vine passion fruit were really useful. I didn't cut enough at the beginning. It seems that I have to open up a special piece of land in Forge the Universe to plant this thing. When he was halfway up the other side of the mountain, Han Fei's eyes suddenly narrowed. Swish! Han Fei flashed out, and in his place, a sounding snake appeared. How did it escape my perception? Han Fei was a little surprised. It doesn't make sense. With his perception, even in the valley, he didn't find a sounding snake. This was halfway up the mountain. Where did this guy come from? Han Fei took a closer look and found that this sounding snake was completely different from the bloody puddle he saw just now. Its whole body was crimson, and its 4 wings were more than 10 meters long when spread out. Its head resembled a dragon, with a clump of red hair standing on its head. Those wings were like feathers, just like the wings of a bird. However, the difference was that these wings were crimson and shining, and when they clapped with each other, a clanging sound burst out. Clang, clang. Han Fei only felt a buzz in his head. However, the soul power of this sounding snake should not be as strong as his. Therefore, it was not easy to confuse him. Swish! Han Fei flashed out again, and at the same time, a golden fist mark blasted out, and the sounding snake was punched back dozens of meters by Han Fei. Han Fei sneered. If he had to use the Overlord's technique just to deal with a sounding snake, he might as well give up exploring this ruin. Swish! Han Fei flashed again and activated the draw technique, and the void lines hooked out along with the knife light. As if sensing a strong sense of threat, the sounding snake flapped its wings and flew out. Hey! This is the opportunity I've been waiting for. Han Fei flashed again and appeared on the back of the sounding snake. He pressed his palm, and all 10 void lines hooked up. At that moment, even if the sounding snake tried its best to escape, the void lines were too close, and it had nowhere to run. Han Fei quickly controlled the soul of this sounding snake. From its soul, Han Fei read some messy pictures. In some of the pictures, dense, sounding snakes could be seen. Han Fei was stunned by this scene. Hiss! So many? How do we fight them? Han Fei turned over and sat on the rattlesnake, wondering if he should explore that treasure trove. If he went there, and hundreds of sounding snakes came out, he might not be able to resist them. Forget it. Let's find the cave first. Han Fei tried to find information from the sounding snake's soul. In the end, as he searched, he suddenly saw 2 huge red eyes. Han Fei was taken aback. This was just what he saw through the divine soul of the sounding snake. The fear he felt actually came from the sounding snake itself. You're afraid of your own kind? Looks like it won't be easy. Han Fei didn't panic. Since he couldn't find the entrance, he might as well study the power of his divine manipulation technique through this sounding snake. He controlled this sounding snake to fly to a high place. Han Fei was trying to read the information bit by bit. After several hundred attempts, Han Fei was gradually able to see the owner of the pair of red eyes. Luo Xiaobai was right. There was really a powerful creature at the Snake King level. When he saw this Snake King clearly, Han Fei couldn't help but be in a trance. That body seemed to be a bit too huge, wasn't it? Just the snake's head alone looked more than 30 meters long, not to mention its body. And beside the big snake, Han Fei also saw a small tree of unknown quality. On the small tree there was a dark green fruit hanging. In addition to this dark green fruit, Han Fei also saw 3 corpses in the huge snake cave. The corpses were all wearing armor and battlesuit. Han Fei also knew the appearance of the 3 corpses. They were the same kind of corpses he met in the undersea chimney. Han Fei couldn't help but be stunned. If these corpses were supposed to appear in the undersea chimney, then would there be spirit awakening fluid here? Han Fei wasn't sure. If the spirit awakening fluid was still here, then it meant that in this so-called ruins, there was not only the fruit and the 3 corpses, but also at least 3 million kilograms of spirit awakening fluid. Even if the spirit awakening fluid might have been divided up by these little snakes. However, there were still 3 corpses. The equipment on them was also good stuff. If he could kill this Snake King along the way, it would probably be another huge harvest. At least, the bodies of snakes were full of treasures. Let's go and have a look. If we can't find the entrance, give up. He controlled the sounding snake to fly to the valley. In the air above the valley, Han Fei controlled the sounding snake under him and knocked. Clang clang, the sound echoed in the valley, echoing faintly. Suddenly, Han Fei heard another knock, followed by dozens of knocks. Han Fei's eyes suddenly lit up. It turns out that there is a snake cave hidden in a gravel beach at the bottom of the valley. Hey! Don't blame me if I find it. Han Fei stretched out his hand and a large jar filled with poison god appeared. He used half of the poison god that Chao Qiu gave him. Nearly 50 kilograms of poison god were stuffed into the stomach of this sounding snake and swallowed. Of course, in order to prevent it from breaking out, Han Fei put poison god in a large fish bladder. As long as the fish bladder didn't burst, poison god wouldn't spread. Whoop! Han Fei flew into the air, and flew directly to the top of the hill. And the void lines controlled the sounding snake to drill into a pile of rocks at the bottom of the valley. Then Han Fei found that there was another world under the valley. In the dark cave, dozens of sounding snakes were entangled with each other. Some sounding snakes were looking at him, or to be precise, at the sounding snake that he controlled. They stuck out their tongues and their eyes were scarlet as if they had seen a strange snake. Have I been discovered? Clang, clang. For a time, there was a lot of knocking sounds in the cave. Because the knocking was very rhythmic, gradually this kind of sound spread far away. Han Fei's face suddenly changed. What are these sounding snakes doing? As they knocked, Han Fei also had to knock. Otherwise, he would immediately become out of place. If he was discovered, it would be a matter of minutes. In the valley, there were echoes and sound waves rippling. Han Fei felt his head was swollen, so he quickly spat out the mint leaf in his mouth, and took another bite. Yes, he stuffed it into his mouth, not a piece. Han Fei felt that a piece of mint leaf could no longer stop his hostility. Thud! Thud! When the knocking spread out like a sound wave, Han Fei saw a golden light descending on a mountain in the distance. See God descends? Generally speaking, those who could force a peak-level sea demon to use See God descends were usually not weak. It happened that Luo Xiaobai and the others could. Han Fei's face changed slightly. Did Luo Xiaobai and the others encounter the sea demon army? Han Fei immediately summoned Little Black and Little White. Daughter, look where Luo Xiaobai and the others are. However, Little White's direction was the other side, which happened to be the opposite of the opposite battlefield. Han Fei immediately thought of something. If I can't break into this snake cave, can't I attract others to come over? With this in mind, Han Fei flew directly to the opposite mountain. However, only after Han Fei flew less than 3,000 meters away, the aftermath of the battle came from all directions. Han Fei saw that there was a white light shining in the distance. Then, Han Fei saw that on a small hill not far away, there was an octopus phantom flying in the air. Then, Han Fei also saw that some people were spreading their wings and fighting each other. Oh no, I'm in trouble! Why are there so many living people near this mountain range? Han Fei didn't expect this. He thought that there shouldn't be too many people in this valley. After all, if it weren't for the mint leaf in his hand, Zhang Xuanyu and the others might have been bewitched. But now, Han Fei found that he was wrong. He was not the only special person, and he was not the only one who could resist the sound of the sounding snakes. However, it seemed that he had caused the collective knocking of the sounding snake. Because of this, those who were originally able to resist the bewitching sound collapsed, and their minds became lost. Damn it! He definitely couldn't save them. No matter how fast he was, he couldn't put out the fire from all directions. Lure! He could only tempt these vicious fellows into coming over on their own initiative. Han Fei gritted his teeth, flew directly to the top of the valley, took out 10,000 kilograms of spirit-awakening fluid and a large amount of spiritual spring, and scattered them. The rich spiritual vortex attracted the attention of all parties. Many figures were rushing toward the valley. Not only humans and sea demons, but also the sounding snakes under Han Fei all drilled out of their holes, seemingly wanting to devour the spirit-awakening fluid and spiritual energy. Han Fei ran away as fast as he could. At the same time, Han Fei controlled his sounding snake to escape first. It was not until nearly 200 sounding snakes poured out of the snake cave that Han Fei controlled the sounding snake to drill into the snake cave. More than 200 sounding snakes were flying in the air, which was equivalent to more than 200 peak-level sea demons. The only fortunate thing was that this kind of snake was good at bewitching people, but its combat effectiveness was not strong. When the human and sea demon powerhouses rushed over, a fierce conflict immediately broke out with them. In a frenzy, many human and sea demon powerhouses quickly rushed into the battle. The sky was full of shadows and dazzling lights. Han Fei gritted his teeth. A bunch of idiots, knowing that this place is fascinating, they still won't leave. Han Fei found that there were 50 or 60 human powerhouses and as many as 70 or 80 sea demons. Fine, I'll take care of the trouble I caused. Chapter 898. Looking at the humans, sea demons, and sounding snakes fighting each other, Han Fei took out a large pile of mint leaves, crushed them in an instant, mixed them into the infinity water, turned them into spikes and rushed to the battlefield. With the help of the Overlord's technique, Han Fei's speed was extremely fast. Swish, swish, swish. Every time he flickered, he would appear next to a human powerhouse. Every time he appeared, Han Fei would punch the infinity water into their bodies with the invincible fist mark. Of course, there was bound to be resistance. However, Han Fei's reaction was extremely fast. In front of a group of delirious powerhouses, he could at least hit them. Suddenly, Han Fei heard a voice transmission, "I'm here to help. Is there any way to wake them up?" It was Luo Xiaobai's voice. Han Fei couldn't help but smile bitterly. He thought that Luo Xiaobai and the others could kill them, but how long had it been? A super melee equivalent to 300 or 400 people had begun. Han Fei responded, "I'll try to wake them up. I'll drive them out. You catch them." At that moment, Han Fei's figure flickered wildly. About a quarter of an hour later, Han Fei blasted more than 50 people away under the triple attack. As for Han Fei himself, he was blasted into a miserable state. After all, there were too many people, and none of them was weak. More than a dozen people had already died. There was no time to save them. Han Fei sensed that Luo Xiaobai had dragged those half-awake humans with her vines, and had run 50 kilometers away. Han Fei said to her via voice transmission, "Take them away first and wait for me to meet you." Han Fei directly tore open a water mist array, cast a stealth array on himself in the chaos, and jumped away from the battlefield. Han Fei, who fell to the bottom of the valley, didn't care about the battle in the sky at all. It had nothing to do with him whether it was the sea demons or the sounding snakes. Besides, he had to rely on those sea demons to fight the sounding snakes. And the sounding snake he controlled was running around in the snake cave. In the snake cave there were many caves. Without Little White's guidance, Han Fei could only crawl through one big hole after another. Fortunately, in the fourth tunnel, Han Fei found many sounding snakes that seemed to have just woken up. Besides, Han Fei felt that this sounding snake under his control was trembling. Found it! Han Fei was overjoyed. This cave should be connected to each other. In fact, all the caves could be drilled deep into the ground. It was just that the path he was taking now was much smoother. Pah! A snake tail slapped Han Fei. Han Fei was lost for words. I'm just walking into the cave. Why are you bouncing the ball? When Han Fei walked another dozens of kilometers, he felt that the sounding snake under his control was trembling all over. No, we have to let it rush down. Immediately, Han Fei forcibly controlled this sounding snake to rush into the depths of the cave. However, as soon as Han Fei moved, many sounding snakes noticed the abnormality. At first, they just hissed at Han Fei and then slapped him with their tails. Finally, it rushed up to bite and slash with its wings. After rushing for less than 2,000 meters, the sounding snake was already covered with bruises. Explode. Han Fei knew that he couldn't break in. He could only try to wake up the Snake King here. Rumble. At the moment when the sounding snake self-detonated, many caves collapsed, waves rolled in the cave, and the poison god dissipated frantically. Taking advantage of this opportunity, at the moment of the explosion, Han Fei had already released the void lines, retreated nearly a kilometer, and caught another sounding snake that was using its wings to block the violent impact. Hey! You're all going to have an attack! Han Fei sneered and roared. In the sky, a sounding snake fell and its head was punctured by a sea demon. When Han Fei looked again, there were only more than 20 sea demon powerhouses left, and only nearly 100 sounding snakes were gone. Because 5 people had used the secret method of Sea God Descends, including 2 heavenly talent. Kill them all. It's best if we kill them all. In the depths of the snake cave, the sounding snake controlled by Han Fei was also poisoned and was vomiting and having diarrhea. At that moment, through the void lines, Han Fei even had a feeling that he was vomiting and having diarrhea. It was really a particularly terrifying experience. A large number of sounding snakes were going crazy. After only about 10 minutes, the sounding snake controlled by Han Fei was killed by several sounding snakes, and the other sounding snakes were also fighting each other. It was a mess in the snake cave. Blood was everywhere and filth was sprayed everywhere. Oh! Suddenly, a hoarse and terrifying roar came from the depths of the cave. Han Fei's heart stirred. He immediately got up and quietly slipped away. God knew how strong the Snake King was. What if he was found hiding under the valley? Of course, Han Fei ran away, but the void lines were still attached to the body of the sounding snake. Oh! The ground began to shake. In the valley, the ground was bulging, and the bulge was getting higher and higher. When Han Fei ran 50 kilometers away, he sensed Luo Xiaobai and the others again. At this moment, many people had woken up and were sitting cross-legged to recover. Han Fei said, "Run away, the Snake King is going crazy." Luo Xiaobai was speechless. Because she couldn't sense where Han Fei was, Han Fei could only send a one-way voice transmission to her. Suddenly, Luo Xiaobai suddenly stood up. "Everyone, retreat, a powerful creature has appeared." In fact, without Luo Xiaobai saying anything, they could already feel the ground shaking. For a moment, everyone's face changed drastically, and they ran wildly. Sure enough, relics were not easy to break into. At this moment, Han Fei cast several arrays on himself. He lay on the top of a mountain, motionless, only staring at the valley. Boom! A violent roar sounded. Han Fei's heart trembled, his eyes turned red, and the killing desire in his heart burst out. However, he had prepared mint leaves. As soon as he stuffed them in his mouth, his head immediately sobered up and he forcibly suppressed this crazy bloodthirsty impulse. However, it was unknown whether it was a good thing or a bad thing. After the Snake King's attack, the remaining 11 sea demons were all enraged. Han Fei felt that they were burning their essence, blood, and vitality. Puff, puff, puff. One after another, ordinary-sounding snakes were slaughtered by them. After all, these people had gone crazy. This was no longer playing with their lives, but suicide. Bam! The ground was shattering. Seeing this scene, Han Fei frowned. He gritted his teeth, took out all the remaining 40 caddies of poison god, wrapped it in infinity water, and threw it directly at the Snake King that was about to break out of the ground. Gulp! Han Fei swallowed. If your head comes out first, I'll feed you to death. In the next moment, with a bang, a huge head popped out, its scarlet tongue flicked out, and its red eyes aimed directly at the sky. Now! Suddenly, the infinity water rushed into the snake's mouth, along with 40 caddies of poison god. After finishing this, Han Fei immediately controlled the void lines and frantically went deeper into the underground snake cave. The big snake was furious and rose from the ground. Its first thought was to spit out the damn thing that had just drilled into its body. However, how could it spit out the infinity water so easily? Han Fei didn't want to? Why would it spit it out? Like a dragon coming out of its hole, as soon as the big snake appeared, it swallowed the sky. 8 sea demons, plus 5 or 6 ordinary-sounding snakes, were swallowed by it. It was looking for which son of AB*TCH had sneak attacked it? Han Fei didn't know what to do. He was still holding the dragon's sting fishing rod in his hand. Sure enough, the big Snake King glanced in his direction. At that moment, Han Fei summoned the Overlord. At the same time, a wisp of soul fire floated out and sank into the Overlord's body. Swish! Han Fei opened the phantom glass wings and dropped a dozen sea-swallowing seashells on the ground, before he ran away as fast as he could. Quickly, the poison will take effect. Quickly, the poison will take effect. The big snake's body was wriggling wildly, and its insides were already tumbling. At the moment when Han Fei ran away, it quickly pulled its body out of the ground and rushed over. Damn, is this body really that strong? Chao Chiu, you bastard! Even the super-enhanced version of Poison God is not strong enough. Swish! Han Fei rushed out like a flash of light and instantly activated the agility of wind. However, Han Fei was still greedy at this time. The position of the big snake had been exposed, so he couldn't grab the treasures with the void lines. Therefore, he left the Overlord and Snowmorn and left some sea-swallowing seashells for the Overlord so that the Overlord could grab the treasures after the big snake chased him far away. This was the thought that flashed through Han Fei's mind the moment the snake eyes saw him. In the seawater, an extremely thin white line shuttled across. It was the sonic boom effect caused by Han Fei's speed in the water. At this moment, Han Fei had combined the Overlord's technique, the agility of wind, and the sea racing art. His speed should be even faster than that of a junior law enforcer. After all, the sea racing art was a straight running art. There was no shelter in the water, so he could go straight. And dozens of kilometers behind Han Fei, a huge snake more than 300 meters long was chasing him crazily. Its speed was even faster than Han Fei's. Luo Xiaobai and the others had just run more than 100 kilometers when they saw a behemoth chasing Han Fei's rushing figure with their naked eyes. Gulp! Lu Renquang swallowed. Oh my! Oh sea god! Zhang Xuanyu was dumbfounded. What a big snake! Luo Xiaobai's face changed slightly. It seems to have wings, and it's faster than Han Fei. As for those who had been saved by Han Fei, they were all shocked at this moment, watching this pursuit that was on a completely different level. Someone said in shock, Han Fei, isn't he too exaggerated? And he's carrying a fishing rod? Is he fishing for a big snake? Chapter 899. Looking at the huge figure, everyone suddenly felt powerless. Fortunately, he didn't go exploring the valley on a whim. Otherwise, with such a large snake, it wouldn't even feel anything when it was swallowed. It wouldn't even be qualified to be a snack. Someone's face changed drastically. What should we do? How can we save it? Someone sighed. Han Fei, how dare he catch it? Someone rolled his eyes. Bullsh *t. Why don't you try to catch one? Someone nodded. Han Fei must have used some means of attack with his fishing rod. He can't be stupid enough to catch such a big thing with a fishing rod. Someone was speechless and glanced at the Luo Xiaobai trio on the side. Anyway, your Thug Academy is really the most fearless academy I have ever seen. Luo Xiaobai's face changed. Chase it. The others can do as they please. The others could only smile bitterly. The point is that we can't catch up with it. Even if we can catch up with it, we can't beat it. However, for the Luo Xiaobai trio, whether they could catch up with it or not, they couldn't just stand by and watch. They had to catch up with it first. As they spoke, the Luo Xiaobai trio had already flown out. Because the big snake was so strong that wherever it passed, even the soul eaters didn't appear, or dared not to appear. After all, no matter how disgusting the soul eaters were, they still had some intelligence. They could kill humans and sea demons, but this sounding snake king could crush a bunch of them with its tail. Who would stupidly rush up? Wasn't that courting death? At the moment when Han Fei and the others rushed out, our student overlord, Han Fei, was quietly sneaking into the huge snake hole. Just now, when the big snake came out, it just took a casual bite and killed all the sounding snakes and sea demons fighting in the sky. At this moment, there were only 2 or 3 sea demons left, and they were about to die. The overlord held Frostmourne in one hand and drilled into the broken snake hole. Why did Han Fei leave Frostmourne to the overlord? It was mainly because at this level, the overlord's power was no longer enough to change the situation. Frostmourne could make the overlord have the combat power close to that of an advanced hidden fisher. Although Frostmourne was a sea-quelling bizarre treasure, who could erase Han Fei's mark on this ancient battlefield, be it humans or sea demons. Even if he did, who would dare to make Snowmourne acknowledge him as its master? Moreover, Frostmourne had been with him for so long. Even if it was taken away, Han Fei was sure that as long as he was alive, he could easily find it. At that time, whoever snatched Frostmourne would be killed. Inside the snake cave. Because of the Mingxi King's rampage just now, many ordinary Mingxi were directly crushed to death. In addition, 50 kilograms of poison god exploded in the snake cave. Although it was not close to the center, it still exploded in a group of sounding snake. Now, in the snake cave, countless sounding snakes were fighting each other, and blood was everywhere. The tyrant jumped into the hole and saw a pile of meat paste when he landed. A few hundred meters away, a large number of sounding snakes were biting and fighting. Han Fei saw the 3 bodies at a glance and stored them in his sea-swallowing seashell without saying anything. And the little tree, no matter what quality the spiritual fruit was, he just uprooted it. Because this was originally the habitat of the Mingxi King, ordinary sounding snakes were very afraid of this place. Therefore, after doing all this unscrupulously, Han Fei could still take a look inside. As a result, Han Fei found something strange at the end of the big hole. This was a big hole in the belly of the mountain, with snake eggs everywhere. And in the center of the snake eggs, there was a round pit, in which there was a pool of green spirit awakening fluid. Han Fei was amused by this scene. He rushed over and frantically poured it into the sea-swallowing seashell. Unfortunately, this pit was not big, and it was only 2 meters deep. Only 500,000 kilograms? Isn't this a scam? They occupy such a large snake nest and only leave 500,000 kilograms of spirit-awakening fluid for their eggs? That's not enough. However, on second thought, Han Fei felt that this was reasonable. How many years had passed in this damn place? Besides, with so many sounding snakes in the snake cave, it was a miracle that the spirit awakening fluid hadn't been drunk up. Han Fei suspected that if it weren't for these snake eggs here, there wouldn't even be a little spirit awakening fluid left. After putting away the spirit awakening fluid, Han Fei found that the sounding snake was running towards him. Immediately, Han Fei cursed. How long has it been since I came in? Forget it, I don't have time to waste here. I have to run quickly. If I'm slow, I won't be able to run away. More than 600 kilometers away from the sounding snake mine, the big snake seemed to sense something. Looking back, it became even more furious. Ho! Clang! The demonic sound rippled, and Han Fei cursed in the wild. Will it go back at this time? If it goes back now? The Overlord can't beat this thing. Besides, what made Han Fei very depressed was that he had fed 40 kilograms of poison god to this snake, but it could still catch up with him so fast? At this moment, the distance between the two had been reduced from 50 kilometers to less than 40 kilometers. I can't go on like this. It will catch up with me sooner or later. 10,000 knives in the body of the big snake. The infinity water was cutting frantically like a hovering knife. But this big snake's physique was too strong. Even in its stomach, Han Fei could feel that the infinity water was a little obscure and powerless. Damn infinity water! Can't you at least try harder? Han Fei was speechless. With his current realm and strength, the infinity water should have the destructive power of a semi-divine weapon. But it shouldn't be. As an important weapon of a city, it shouldn't have such little power. How on earth do I use this thing? How do I use it? While thinking, Han Fei perceived that more than 80 kilometers away, there was a team of 6 sea demons fighting with several soul eaters. Immediately, Han Fei used the 64-dimensional fish dragon dance and changed his direction to the flying fish technique, and then immediately changed back. Just because of this little bit of time, the big snake caught up with him for more than 3 kilometers. Son of AB***, let's go. Dozens of kilometers away, the half-mermaids had just killed this soul eater, and they didn't even need to perceive it. When they looked up, they saw a white light rushing towards them in the distance. Someone shouted, "Pay attention to defense. The newcomer is so fast." Oh no, that's Phantom Wings? Han Fei, it's Han Fei. A captain-level powerhouse shouted, "Sea God descends, this opportunity is to go to the royal city. Sea King, what the hell is that behind us?" Hiss. Run. There's a terrifying creature chasing this guy. Just now, they wanted to try to snipe Han Fei. But at this moment, how could they snipe him? How could they snipe this thing? Behind Han Fei, there was such a huge figure. Just by looking at its head, they knew it was not easy to deal with. Han Fei was obviously bringing trouble to them. Han Fei said to the big snake behind him via voice transmission, "Bastard, my teammates are just ahead. If you keep chasing me, I'll call my teammates." Clang. The demonic sound exploded, and the escaping sea demons suddenly stopped. They turned around and charged at Han Fei with ferocious eyes. At this time, Han Fei took out an energy fruit, stuffed it into his mouth, and said to the big snake via voice transmission, "You're doomed. I tell you, you're doomed. My teammates are very strong." Han Fei looked at the big snake opposite him and used Sea God Descends. He didn't fight them head-on. At the moment when they were about to meet, he flashed out 9 shadows in a row and passed by them. As if he had done a trivial thing, Han Fei continued to think about the use of the infinity water, and the sea demons behind him were doomed. Sure enough, as Han Fei expected, the sea demons who were still chasing Han Fei found that Han Fei had run far away and the big snake was rushing over. Sea God Strike, Whale Ride, beat him? The huge red wings swept across the sky. What Sea God Strike or Ghost God Strike? The sea demons were smashed to pieces by the serpent's wings. Puff! Han Fei was surprised. Is there something coming out of the body of this big snake? He pinched his fingers and was shocked. This B** starred, can it detoxify itself? The distance between the two sides was almost shortened to 30 kilometers. Han Fei was extremely anxious. What's going on? Han Fei recalled the scene when he got the infinity water for the first time. Being in the water column, he didn't feel anything, but the cave was already full of knife marks. Could the infinity water only be used as a weapon? He had tried many methods later. Except that his soul could control its form, its attack power should be growing with him. But if it was just this, it shouldn't be called the treasure of a city. After all, based on the abilities and attributes it had shown so far, it should be at most at the level of a sea-quelling bizarre treasure. But how could the heavenly desolate city be an ordinary small city? Han Fei believed that when the heavenly desolate city just fell, there must be a lot of strong masters in the city. At least no less than the Scattered Stars Island, and even more than the Thousand-Star City. After swimming for more than 100 kilometers, Han Fei encountered a group of human beings. Because he was in a straight line, Han Fei immediately said, "Everyone, get out of the way." However, the group of people looked dumbfounded. They didn't even know where the voice came from. Han Fei gritted his teeth, changed his movement technique again, and changed his direction. As a result, the big snake's pursuit was already within 30 kilometers. After a moment, the group of 5 people was dumbfounded when they saw Han Fei and the big snake passing by in the distance. Someone asked in confusion, "Han Fei? What's that thing chasing after him?" Someone sighed. "Is it a snake?" Someone was speechless. "Have you ever seen a snake with wings? More than 300 meters? Oh my God, did Han Fei save our lives?" "It seems so." Someone was speechless. "But why is he holding a fishing rod in his hand? Is he fishing for a snake?" Chapter 900. Along the way, Han Fei rushed over whenever he met a sea monster. When he met a human, he would send a voice transmission in advance. If the other party still didn't dodge, Han Fei could only take the initiative to dodge. 1 hour later, Han Fei burst into tears. "Hey, Mr. Snake, I was just joking with you. Why are you targeting me?" At this moment, the distance between the two sides was only about 15 kilometers, which had shrunk by half. Han Fei felt that although the big snake was injured, it wasn't seriously injured. In just 1 hour, at least hundreds of people had recognized Han Fei. The number of enemies killed by Han Fei with the help of the big snake had also reached more than 50. However, every time he changed directions, the big snake would inevitably catch up with him. Han Fei felt that when the big snake emptied all the poison god, it would catch up with him like a piece of cake. "No. I can't change directions anymore. I have to find a way to kill this guy." The sky-dissecting finger? Han Fei thought for a while and felt it was a pity. That was equivalent to a venerable attack. He couldn't use that thing unless he had to. "The flood dragon old Han gave you?" Wait a minute. It took old Han a long time to draw this array. It's a pity to use it here. I haven't even found the boneyard yet. I haven't entered the underground city yet. Fine Chao Chiu. Han Fei thought of something. He didn't have anything that could resist the big snake. Fuse. Han Fei immediately activated the Yin-Yang Divine Eyes and Han Fei's speed increased a little. Whoop! After half an hour, the big snake was already within 10 kilometers of him. Han Fei didn't have time to ask Little White to find Chao Chiu's location. He just needed to know the general direction. At this moment, Han Fei was no longer so calm because he was in a crazy escape. Even with the peppermint leaves in his mouth to help him alleviate Little Black's violence, the big snake behind him would occasionally knock on his head and bewitch his mind. Damn it! Han Fei suddenly turned around, and the dragon sting fishing rod in his hand was filled with spiritual energy and shot straight out. Explode. Rumble. The self-explosion of the semi-divine weapon fell directly on the snake's head. After all, this big snake chased him in a straight line. In order to catch up with Han Fei, It ignored the dragon's sting fishing rod and directly crashed into it. Within a radius of several hundred miles, the seawater shook violently. Huge waves rolled in all directions. As a result, Han Fei was caught up a little bit more. In Han Fei's perception, there were many wounds on the snake head, and blood was flowing out. It seemed that the explosion of semi-divine weapons could hurt it. Unfortunately, it's just an external wound. Wait, can the infinity water explode? Han Fei suddenly frowned. The infinity water is just a drop of water. It was only because this drop of water could transform into countless water weapons that it was called the endless water. As a drop of water, after exploding, it was nothing more than a drop of water. Han Fei frowned. Previously, he had never thought of this because no one would have thought of blowing up an important weapon of a city. But now, Han Fei suspected that the infinity water could detonate itself. He pinched his fingers together and divined, but he didn't have any bad premonitions. Immediately, Han Fei's heart skipped a beat. Li Huang, even if the infinity water is gone, I can fulfill my promise to you in the future. Han Fei's eyes became fierce. Explode. Rumble. This time, the billowing waves instantly rushed Han Fei 7 or 8 kilometers away. He couldn't even stabilize his body, and was directly rolled out with the wave. And the huge body of the big snake fell directly to the ground, leaving a long mark thousands of meters long. In Han Fei's perception, the big snake's body was badly mutilated. Many places had been penetrated, and the blood was mixed in the flying sand, which looked very weird. Han Fei finally stabilized his body more than 20 kilometers away. He quickly stuffed an energy fruit into his mouth, turned around and swam towards the big snake. As he thought of something, in all directions, within dozens of kilometers, wisps of water were quickly gathering. Not long after, a drop of water gathered in the palm of his hand. Ah! You old mongrel, big snakehead, hothead, big blockhead. Come on, chase him. Try chasing me again. Aren't you supposed to be pretty capable? He chased me until I had nowhere to go. Han Fei thought of something, and the infinity water mixed in the seawater again and poured into the wound on the abdomen of the big snake again. Explode. Rumble. Han Fei was once again sent flying by the terrifying explosion. In the seawater, he rolled for dozens of kilometers before he barely stopped. The terrifying and destructive explosion was like a small mushroom cloud. It was so powerful that some wounds appeared on Han Fei's hands and face. However, Han Fei was obviously taken aback. The power of the second self-explosion was much weaker than the first time. Could it be that the infinity water was also broken? No, it wasn't broken, but the power of the self-explosion had become weaker. Han Fei sensed something and didn't plan to continue self-explosion. These two explosions would cause turbulence within at least 1,000 kilometers. Many people would definitely feel it, but it didn't matter. He had developed a new way to use the infinity water, and this thing was not afraid of self-explosion at all. Besides, the power of its self-explosion was definitely at the level of a divine weapon. Only a self-explosion of this level could be so violent and powerful. Even if the power of the self-explosion would be reduced, it didn't matter. If he used the phantom glass wings too much, he would have to give them time to cool down. The huge body of the big snake, which was more than 300 meters long, was full of fine bloody holes, and one of its wings was directly blown up. Han Fei was dozens of kilometers away from the big snake, but he was still sent flying. And the infinity water exploded in the body of the big snake. At this moment, the big snake's head was drooping to the ground, and its two snake eyes were badly mutilated. It was probably blind. When Han Fei approached, information appeared in his eyes. Name: ancient-sounding snake. Extremely weak. Introduction: an ancient gregarious sea snake that lives in mineral deposit. Wherever the sounding snake is, there is no vegetation and blood. It has 4 wings that are comparable to divine weapons. Its wings vibrate like hitting a plate, which can enchant people's minds, drive them crazy, and make people kill each other. This is a species of the ancient-sounding snake. Its combat power is amazing, with the power of 10 wave. Level 67 quality, legendary, contains spiritual energy greater than 69,185 points, edible effect, if you take the ancient-sounding bead, you can hear thousands of kilometers away. Collectible ancient-sounding bead absorbable, remarks, the sounding snake is a symbol of disaster. Once the snake comes out of its hole, disaster will spread everywhere. Han Fei's eyes widened. He had the judgment of legendary creatures for a long time. However, the ability of the listening clairvoyance surprised Han Fei. How could there be such a strange sense of hearing? However, now there was a problem in front of Han Fei. Should he use the ability of the listening clairvoyance, or throw this big snake into the demon purification pot? Legendary creatures were certainly rare. If he missed this one, he didn't know where the next one would be. Han Fei waved his hand, and the infinity water gathered in his hand again. Huh! This time, when Han Fei gathered the infinity water, he found that in the seawater, something was pouring into the infinity water crazily. No, to be precise, the infinity water was absorbing something in the seawater. Han Fei couldn't help frowning. Sure enough, the energy contained in the infinity water was being consumed, so it needed to absorb energy from the water. Anyway, he didn't need the infinity water for the time being. After the infinity water exploded twice in its body, the big snake was dying. Han Fei cancelled the fusion and said to Little Black, "Little Black, eat the snake gall. Suck it dry." Han Fei gave up on subduing this big snake, mainly because the listening clairvoyance was too tempting. Besides, this big snake was a treasure, and the snake gall was also a great tonic. Little Black would like it very much. With a thought, Little Fatty appeared. When Little Fatty saw this big snake, it subconsciously wanted to run away. But Han Fei shouted, "Why are you running? You're already like this, so what are you afraid of? Hurry up and suck its blood dry." Little Fatty was stunned. "You killed it?" Han Fei said angrily. "What do you mean by you? I am your master. Don't you believe in your master's strength? Hurry up and suck it dry." Without saying a word, Little Fatty's big suckers had already sucked the body of the ancient-sounding snake. Unfortunately, the nine-tailed mantis shrimp and Little Gold couldn't use it, which made Han Fei a little helpless. After a while, the ancient-sounding snake began to thrash and roar resounded through the bottom of the sea. It should be Little Black's big mouth that was gnawing its snake gall. Gradually, after more than 100 breaths of time, the giant snake finally died. Han Fei stepped on its huge snake head with one foot. "Who asked you to chase me? Who asked you to chase me? If you have the guts, chase me again. I'll blow you up." Cursing for a while, Han Fei spent a lot of effort to dig out the sounding bead. When Little Black came back, he was a little wobbly. Han Fei seemed to have a hunch. Is Little Black going to make a breakthrough? No, it's on the verge of a breakthrough, but not yet. Even Little White was a little confused and his body was shaking. With a thought, he stored Little Black and Little White into Forge the Universe. There was a spiritual spring and spirit awakening fluid there. They could go anywhere they wanted. As a result, Little Black and Little White chose a small pond, which was just pure seawater. Can I make a breakthrough in the sea? Little Black and Little White were so confused that Han Fei didn't dare to take them into the Soul Sea. He didn't know if there were any secrets in the Soul Sea. When things here were over, he had to find a way to enter the Soul Sea to study it. Little Black and Little White couldn't use them for the time being. Little Fatty sucked for a long time, and a red light flashed on its body, but unfortunately it didn't upgrade. Little Fatty said, "After sucking its essence blood, my comprehensive strength has been stabilized. With one more such creature, I can completely stabilize it. Then, I can continue to swallow spirit awakening fluid." Han Fei's eyelids twitched. "Where can I find such a creature?" Forget it, forget it. It's good enough to stabilize my realm. Suddenly, Han Fei perceived that someone was approaching. It was Chao Tian, Chao Qiu, and the others. Not only Chao Tian and the others but also a group of sea demons, Yi Baiyu, and a few others. Han Fei was speechless. I've been looking for you for a long time. What's the use of coming here now? At this time, Han Fei didn't want to stay with this group of people. The Overlord was still in the Sounding Snake Mine. He had to find the Overlord as soon as possible. Perhaps because the distance was too far, Han Fei was not sure about the state of his soul at the moment. At this moment it seemed to be on the run. Immediately, Han Fei put away Little Fatty, pressed a hand on the corpse of the huge sounding snake, and put it into Forge the Universe. Swish! Glancing in the direction of Chao Qiu and the others, Han Fei smiled. Go ahead. I'm leaving by. Chapter 901. When he went back, Han Fei was possessed by Little Gold, and the phantom glass wings could still be used. But before that, he had been swallowing energy fruits and using the agility of wind. At this moment, he couldn't use the agility of wind and the Overlord's technique. Only Little Gold was the fastest. After a moment, Chao Tian and the others rushed to the place where the ancient sounding snake fell. Looking at the huge pit on the ground and the strong bloody smell in the sea, they couldn't help but look shocked. Chao Tian's eyes flickered. The power of a law enforcer, and not just a junior law enforcer. Chao Qiu shivered. Look at the marks left on the ground. How big must the creature be to make such terrible scratches? Yi Baiyu rushed out and searched around. There is no trace. That person has already run away. So fast. Chao Jiaran suddenly took out the flute on her waist and played it softly. As the flute sounded, an illusion appeared in the water. After a while, Chao Jiaran stopped playing and said lightly, Han Fei. What? Han Fei? Chao Qiu's eyes widened. Impossible. Han Fei just became a hidden fisher a few days ago. This power. Chao Jiaran said lightly, don't forget, Han Fei killed a law enforcer one-on-one. Chao Tian's eyes narrowed and after a long time he said, let's go. Don't chase him. Since it is Han Fei, we will meet him sooner or later. Yi Baiyu suddenly rushed back. The sea demons are coming. Do you want to fight side by side? Chao Tian showed a silly smile. No, let's go our separate ways. After a while, a roar broke out here again. Chao Qiu and the other two gradually disappeared. On the ground, the remains of 9 sea demons were left. Luo Xiaobai and the others were chasing Han Fei. However, Han Fei's speed was too fast. At this moment, they had only rushed 1/3 of the way. When Han Fei came back, the two sides happened to meet halfway. Lu Renquang immediately shouted, Fei Fei here? Where is the snake? Where is the snake? Zhang Xuanyu had a bitter look on his face. Fei Fei, are you okay? Why are you back? With that said, Zhang Xuanyu stared straight at Han Fei's back. Luo Xiaobai said, did you get rid of it? Han Fei was lost for words. Why are you following us? Zhang Xuanyu said, of course I have to keep up. Who knows, he might be of some help. Han Fei said angrily, shouldn't you explore the valley? It wasn't easy for me to lure the serpent away. Didn't you take the opportunity to take a look? Lu Renquang rolled his eyes. I was too busy chasing you to care about the snake cave. Han Fei immediately said, let's go to the snake cave. Luo Xiaobai asked in confusion, where is the serpent? Han Fei nodded. Yes. Pooh! Cough cough. What? How did you do it? Han Fei moved. Let's talk on the way. After swimming for a while, Han Fei suddenly said, forget it, Xiaobai. Can you find the spiritual plant field you mentioned? Luo Xiaobai frowned. Why? Sure. Han Fei said, let's separate. I was faster. I went because Overlord was still there and so was Snowmorn. I had to get them back. There shouldn't be any relics there, so you don't have to go there. You go to the next place. I'll find you later. Luo Xiaobai asked in surprise, did you leave the sea-quelling bazaar treasure there? Lu Renkuang was shocked. Will it be robbed by others? Zhang Xuanyu said, No, we have to go back with you. A sea-quelling bizarre treasure is stronger than the semi-divine weapons here. If others rob it, how can we get it back? Han Fei said, Don't worry. I've even killed the serpent. Is there anyone here that I can't kill? Go quickly. I found Chao Tian and the others on the other side. Keep a distance. Remember, if there is a big crisis, don't rush in. Luo Xiaobai nodded slightly. If you are not here, I will be very safe. Han Fei smiled awkwardly. Okay, let's talk later. I'm going to find Overlord first. At this moment, Han Fei vaguely felt that Overlord seemed to be fleeing and was no longer in the snake cave. If the four of them returned together, they would only slow him down. He patted Little Gold and said, Let's go find Overlord. Along the way, Han Fei was looking at the drop of infinity water in his palm. Since the infinity water self-detonated, it had been absorbing a kind of water vapor, or the essence of water. Han Fei had a guess. The self-detonation of the infinity water was strong, but it couldn't be infinite. After it self-detonated, it would need to absorb the energy of the water like the phantom glass wings did. Now, Han Fei wanted to see how long it would take for the infinity water to absorb enough water vapor and return to its original state. Han Fei sat on Little Gold. Occasionally, some soul eaters popped up, but Han Fei ignored them. Little Gold was not slow. If he just wanted to hurry, those soul eaters couldn't catch up with him. Han Fei didn't intend to absorb the ancient singing bead immediately. Han Fei also had to be careful that when he was absorbing, someone suddenly jumped out next to him. If he failed at the last step, the big serpent would be killed in vain. Little Black and Little White were now circling in the waterhole in Forge the Universe. The two little guys were circling in a circle, and Han Fei didn't know what they were doing. However, the Overlord's divine soul was still there, and he could sense its location. After more than 2 hours, Han Fei suddenly felt a tingling in his head. Was the Overlord destroyed? Damn it! Which son of AB*TCH is so bold? He even dared to cripple my clone? Swish! Little Gold attached to his body and Han Fei rushed out. He bit another energy fruit in his mouth to ensure that when he found the Overlord, he would still have enough combat power. Half an hour later, a team of more than 20 sea demons was gathering together to rest. Among them, there was an acquaintance of Han Fei, Yuji. The Overlord was also discovered by Yuji. Fortunately, she had just broken through to the sea demon realm, so she was able to enter this ancient battlefield. Someone cursed, We've been chasing this iron lump for a long time. It turns out that it's a semi-divine weapon. Someone shouted, Full recovery! If this is a semi-divine weapon, where is its owner? A heavenly talent said, It's very likely that it's in the valley just now. When we went in, we saw it. How many people died there? That snake bewitched people, causing 13 of us to die. Yuji frowned and said, No, Yu Fei is not dead. If Yu Fei is dead, how can this puppet escape? A captain-level powerhouse said, Yuji, are you sure this puppet belongs to Yu Fei? Yuji nodded. I'm very sure. When we were in the demonic forest channel, this puppet cooperated with Yu Fei. If you insist on who this puppet belongs to, it is definitely Yu Fei. Someone frowned and said, Yu Fei? How did an Azure Sea Blue Demon sneak in? There are no Azure Sea Blue Demons in the crowd this time. Not to mention the human side. Yuji shook her head. I don't know. But I think we have to get out of here as soon as possible. A heavenly talent said disdainfully, Run? Don't you know how strong Yu Fei was at that time? High-level demon transformation realm. No matter how fast his cultivation is, how long has it been? He has just entered the sea demon realm. Even if he is at the peak of the elementary sea demon realm, there are so many of us. Are we afraid of him? I think we can use this puppet to attract him. In the end, killing him will definitely be a great achievement. A powerhouse at the peak of the sea demon realm nodded. Yes, even if he is already at the peak of the sea demon realm, he can't win. Even if he reaches the sea spirit realm, he can't win against so many of us. With that said, the powerhouse held Frostmourne and said, "This sword should be extremely extraordinary. It is definitely a high-quality divine weapon. Even in our 10,000 Demon Valley, it is difficult to find such a weapon." Yuji still wanted to say something, but she didn't have a chance. She wanted to say that if Yu Fei was so easy to deal with, there wouldn't have been so many people killed. In the battle of the demonic forest channel, we might not even lose. 80 kilometers away. Han Fei's perception swept across, because Han Fei's soul power at the moment was stronger than these people's. So, no one discovered it. Yuji? Haha. On the battlefield, I won't show mercy. Seeing that they were resting, Han Fei didn't panic. They couldn't use Frostmourne, so he had enough time to kill them. At this moment, Han Fei took out a few fish skin maps and began to draw arrays. Hey! As long as I can trap you, I'll bury you all with my overlord. A trapping array was not enough. Han Fei also drew 2 killing arrays and a dazzling white light array. After half an hour, 20 kilometers away, Han Fei carefully moved towards them bit by bit. If it weren't for the fact that Little Black and Little White were in a special state, hiding in Little Black's mouth would be the best way. At this moment, in order to prevent these people from escaping, Han Fei had to approach them carefully. At this distance, he had to be at least 10 kilometers away from them. After all, since Yuji saw the Overlord, she must have guessed that Yu Fei was also there. And if he appeared, they would easily associate him with Yu Fei. As long as one escaped, his identity was very likely to be exposed. Just when Han Fei was about 15 kilometers away from these people, someone suddenly looked in his direction. Han Fei immediately stood still. But someone still narrowed his eyes and said, "Something's wrong. Everyone, be on guard." Han Fei bared his teeth. This son of AB*TCH's perception was quite strong. Immediately, Han Fei controlled the void lines to hook the ground 7 or 8 kilometers away, pulling up a piece of sand. These people immediately looked there. Han Fei activated the Overlord's technique, attached little gold to his body, and transformed into Sun Mu's face with the Thousand Changes technique. In the instant that these people's gazes shifted elsewhere, he instantly dashed out like a hurricane. The moment Han Fei's figure appeared, all the sea demons' faces changed. However, they were all taken aback. Golden red wings. Where did a human hidden fisher get golden red wings? Han Fei roared, "It's everyone's responsibility to kill sea demons. I, Sun Mu of the Thousand Star City, am a heavenly talent, unparalleled and invincible among my peers. Today I will kill you to serve mankind." A large group of sea demons were taken aback and then looked dumbfounded. An intermediate hidden fisher? Is there something wrong with this guy's head? Someone shouted, "Watch out! Is there an ambush?" Han Fei roared, "Why do I need an ambush to kill you? Why don't you go to the Scattered Stars Island and ask who I am? You little rascals, die." Chapter 902. Being called by Han Fei like this, no normal person would escape. At least, when Han Fei didn't show his strength, they wouldn't escape. They were sent here to kill people. How could they run away when they met someone? A heavenly talent shouted angrily, "You're just an intermediate hidden fisher. How dare you talk nonsense? Let me kill you." The man broke through the water, activated the Sea King's secret method, and launched the Sea God's strike. The golden harpoon shone brightly on the bottom of the sea. "Hey! 9 mansions dragon seal." Han Fei punched and a big seal appeared, and a dragon roared and shook the sea. With a bang, the heavenly talent was sent flying, and the golden harpoon in his hand was bent by the blow. Han Fei's powerful blow immediately made the sea demon's eyes light up. A powerhouse at the peak level of the sea demon realm launched a powerful attack, riding a whale and slapping the wave. However, at this moment, Han Fei was already within 5 kilometers of them. Overlord's technique. With a bang, the golden fist mark crushed the whale and shattered it. When the powerhouse at the peak level of the sea demon realm launched, the sea god descends, Han Fei had already approached them. Han Fei smiled and said, "Don't you think it's too late?" Gravity. Han Fei landed on the ground, turned his hand over, and more than 40 million kilograms of gravity pressed down. Almost everyone fell to the ground in an instant. A junior hidden fisher vomited blood and even found it extremely difficult to stand up. At that moment, Han Fei waved his hand, and a fish skin map appeared. Within 300 meters, a maze rose and a defensive array condensed. Whoop! The golden red wings were folded, and the phantom glass wings spread out. With a swish, Han Fei disappeared on the spot. Several shadows condensed in the air, and he had appeared in front of a powerhouse at the peak level of the sea demon realm. "I told you, it's too late to escape now." Boom! The fist mark rumbled, and the void lines clasped his soul. Han Fei walked on the seabed, holding a kitchen knife in his hand, and his figure kept flashing. Under the gravity, no one below the advanced sea demon realm could resist his knife. In an instant, more than 20 people were reduced to only 8. All the sea demons who were still alive were horrified and shocked. Some people were horrified, regretting that they hadn't listened to Yuji and left earlier. Yuji was not dead yet. She looked at this scene in shock. "Han Fei, you are Han Fei." Han Fei grinned and glanced at Yuji lazily. "Oh, you just found out? You don't look very smart, Yazzie." When their eyes met, Yuji suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. Who the hell are you?" Han Fei smiled. "Have you guessed it? TSK. You can also call me Yu Fei." Buzz. As soon as these words came out, everyone present was horrified, and their eyeballs almost fell out of their sockets. How is this possible?" Yuji's eyes were full of disbelief. "You? How is that possible?" Han Fei grabbed a random energy fruit and took a bite. "Why not? Aren't you sea demons able to change into soul humans? What's wrong with me becoming a siren? Thank you for taking me back to the Myriad Demon Valley. You're a good person." Yuji was stunned. She found Yu Fei more than 500,000 kilometers deep in the 10,000 Demon Valley. That was the sea area more than 1.5 million kilometers away from the Scattered Stars Island. Why did Han Fei appear there? But now it was useless to think about it. The facts were already in front of her, and Han Fei himself had admitted it. Oh, shameless human, die. A powerhouse at the peak level of the sea demon realm took action. Sea god descends. He resisted gravity and tried to attack. But at the moment he stood up, a harpoon directly pierced him. The golden harpoon vibrated, and this person's internal organs were all damaged. The sea demon looked back incredulously, only to see that his teammate who had just been blown away by Han Fei was now attacking him expressionlessly, his face full of confusion and doubt. Why? The sea demon captain bared his steel teeth. "Because I am also Yu Fei." At that moment, all the people who were still alive felt panic from the depths of their souls. What the hell is going on? Someone screamed and burned his blood to escape. However, when the light and shadow flashed past, Han Fei was already in front of him, punching him in the forehead. Han Fei sneered. "Killing my puppets and robbing my resources, you are the first one who dares to do this. Did your king give you so much power? You won't believe me, but I don't even dare to rob my own things." Swish, swish, swish. Han Fei's figure flickered, raised his knife, and in the blink of an eye, this group of sea demons was all killed. Leaving Yuji alive, Han Fei squatted on the ground, and in the other party's fearful and hateful eyes, he slowly said, "To tell the truth, you are really a good person. At least, compared to your race, you are not bad." Bah! Yuji spat at Han Fei, but the water rippled and the saliva disappeared in an instant. Yuji roared, "Shameless!" Han Fei clicked his tongue and said, "Tsk, I am not a good person. If he became a demon, he would definitely not be a good demon." I thought I wouldn't kill you if I didn't meet you. Unfortunately, you chose to throw yourself at me. What a pity! For the sake of the human race, I can only ask you to die." Yu roared, "You Fey Lord, you will not let you go. My master will not let you go." Han Fei curled his lips and said, "Blue feather? Haha. Maybe he doesn't even know what he is doing. How dare he participate in this kind of trap? Do you really think that an explorer-level character can participate in this kind of thing?" Yu was shocked. "What do you mean?" Han Fei shrugged. "You won't understand even if I tell you. Remember, if you have a chance in your next life, reincarnate as a human. Maybe you can become a good person." Puff! He put away the knife and Yu died. Even with the immortal seal, it was just one more knife. After a while, Han Fei put away everyone's sea-swallowing seashells. Finally, he found Snowmorn again. At the same time, he also found the more than 500,000 kilograms of spirit-awakening fluid that the Overlord robbed. He had to admit that these people were quite powerful. There were a lot of good things in the sea-swallowing seashells. He made a small fortune again. Deactivating the gravity domain, Han Fei followed the perception of his soul power and found the Overlord's remnant body more than 800 kilometers away. Looking at the Overlord's body that was almost crushed, the soul fire that only had a few stars returned to Han Fei's mind. Han Fei couldn't help but shake his head. "It's a pity that I lost a wisp of soul fire for nothing. Overlord, I have to find a way to remake it." With a thought, Han Fei entered Forge the Universe. At this moment, he first took out the spiritual fruit that the Overlord picked up. Because no sea demon knew what this spiritual fruit was, no one ate it. In Han Fei's eyes, information emerged. Name Soul Fruit Introduction: a soul fruit produced by the saliva of the sounding snake. It contains a lot of ownerless souls, which can resist soul attacks and reduce the temptation of the soul. Eating it can help the soul cultivation. Level Heavenly Quality, Ultra Quality, effect strengthens the soul and resists soul attacks and temptations. It is not effective for creatures above the Explorer level. After eating it, the soul power cannot be improved with other spiritual fruits of the same kind within 3 years. Repeated consumption is ineffective. Wow. Good stuff. Han Fei's eyes immediately lit up. Fortunately, these B** stars didn't eat it. Otherwise, he would have suffered a great loss. After all, this was a treasure that he had worked so hard to get. Strengthen the soul. I wonder if I can use it to cultivate the god-scaring painting? With this in mind, Han Fei swallowed the fruit of soul without hesitation. At that moment, his divine sea was clear and the god-scaring painting appeared. Immediately, Han Fei felt that the fragments of the god-scaring painting were unraveled piece by piece. 1 piece, 5 pieces, 10 pieces, 18 pieces. Suddenly, Han Fei saw a silver tip appear on the god-scaring painting. Only then did the soul fruit lose its effect. After all, the god-scaring painting was just a painting. If it was a painting, it should have a pattern. Although the lines on it could greatly enhance his soul and spiritual power when there was no pattern, Han Fei felt a little uncomfortable without a pattern. At this moment the pattern appeared. It was a sharp spike like the tip of a spear. There was a dazzling light curtain on the spike, and it was full of killing intent. Oh my God! It's just a tip and it's already so terrifying? If the entire pattern appears, what kind of scene would that be? Han Fei quickly checked his own information. Owner Han Fei, level greater than 56, intermediate hidden fisher, spiritual energy 432-5681-36999, spiritual power 4, 668/4, 668, perception range greater than 59,999 meters, spiritual heritage, level 7, low quality spiritual beast, twin yin-yang spirit swallowing fish, level 49, main art, divine manipulation technique, level 5 of void fishing, heaven level, divine quality. Huh? I've memorized 18 pieces, but my perception range is stuck at 59,999 meters. Is there a bottleneck again? However, Han Fei was quite pleased with the breakthrough of his spiritual power. It was great that he could make a breakthrough. This time, the range of his perception had increased to 180 kilometers. No one would believe it even if he said it out loud, right? Of course, this was a breakthrough in his soul. Han Fei grabbed the ancient singing bead with a backhand. Han Fei stuffed it directly into his mouth. Let's see if it works. Let's see if it works. After a moment, Han Fei appeared at the bottom of the sea. As soon as he appeared, he heard the sound of fighting. Han Fei felt the ripples in the water. There was only an extremely slight tremor, which was beyond the range of his perception. According to the magnitude of this tremor, it should be 500 kilometers away. TSK. Let's go and have a look.